allotment owners actually wave their pitchforks, or was that poetic license? Because I've heard the nice man on the news say that twice now, and I just wondered... when I first heard it, I thought, no, because you get an idea of Cornish types. They'd be saying, "War," while they're doing it.
They always use that expression, don't they?
I've never heard that expression before in my life. People waving their pitchforks.
It's quite a violent expression, isn't it?
Well, I wouldn't imagine that allotment owners would be partial to violence. No, that's not what I was thinking at all. I would have thought that it would be some sort of well-organised protest I had in my mind, where they'd all stand together and all pulling together as a team, waving some sort of prop pitchforks. But did that actually happen, or were they making that up in order to put colour to the story?
I'd say yes. They were adding colour to the story.
I gave you two possibilities, and you said yes. Already you're making absolutely no sense. So it was London Bike Day, Car Free Bike Day, whatever they called that. And I've been seeing posters for that on the tube for months now. And every time I saw the poster, I had a little chuckle to myself. Sometimes I laughed out loud. The looks you get. And I thought, it's going to be pouring down with rain on that day. It's bound to be. End of September. Are they crazy? But it was lovely. Today and yesterday was absolutely fantastic. I saw most of it through 3 panes of glass, over at the other place where I was playing rock and roll for a grateful audience.
So you weren't tempted to take the day off and get your bike out?
I don't have a bike. I don't think that bikes in London are a good mix at all. If I'm travelling beyond walking speed, I want to be encased in metal. Yes.
But you could have a bike.
Preferably made of iron girders.
But you could have a bike and go to the park with it, couldn't you?
Yes, that's a very good idea, but in order to get to the park, most people have to go through roads, which are, replete with cars.
All right, would you cycle on a road that has a designated cycle lane?
Yes, I suppose. Well, no, it would depend. If it's just one of those painted white lines, if they've just thinned a car lane to paint a white line by the curb, then that's no good at all. But if it's actually part of the curb, in other countries, and I think they do, I'm sure I saw an advert for Milton Keynes.
Right.
Where somebody was was riding their bike along a pavement in which they'd carved an actual cycle lane. Here, of course, there's a cycle lane near me, which, and I am not making this up, is approximately 5 feet long.
5 feet? It's
not connected to another cycle lane.
Right.
There are no other cycle lanes in its vicinity. It's just a piece of green, it looks like AstroTurf, but it's not. It's just like sort of knobbly road material that's painted green with an image of a bicycle on it, painted white.
What's it
Looks
doing
lovely.
there?
It's 5 feet long.
What's the purpose of that?
I have no idea. The only way in which you could get to it by using a cycle lane is if you were dropped in by helicopter. Okay. You could park your bike on it,
yes,
but beyond that you can't. You wouldn't be able to move. It's the silliest thing I've ever seen in my life. Must have cost a fortune, because they would have had to dig up the ordinary surface, plant whatever this stuff is made of, paint a white line around it, and then describe the image of a bicycle upon it.
Right.
It's insane. Why on earth did they do that?
You see, I don't get the cycle lanes, because some of them are narrower than others. Have you seen that? It depends how wide the road is, basically, and so, some of the cycle lanes are literally as wide as their tyres, cycle tyres.
Yeah.
And some are as wide...
What, just a line, you mean?
And some you could get actual cars in.
Right.
So I don't like them at all.
I just don't think... Being a car driver, I know how difficult it is to spot other cars, never mind about bicycles, because those tiny little lights that flash on and off, that's not really going to attract our attention, because, you're driving a car and you're picking your nose and you're changing the stereo and you're giving yourself a good scratch and you're answering the phone and, you're mixing a cocktail and all the other things that go with driving. You're not really looking for bicycles, it's the last thing on your mind. Because if you get hit by a bicycle, well, it's a minor inconvenience, really. You
Ouch.
just nip down to the panel beater. If you get hit by a car, or a bus, or a lorry, then it would be, it would put a dent in your day, never mind about your car.
Oh, yeah.
So, you have to excuse us, bicycle riders, if we're not, if we don't have our eyes peeled, because we're so very busy with doing other things. And, as I say, most of the time, we're drunk. Here is Worthing. Hello, Charles.
Good evening. Let me turn the sound ring down. That's it, right.
Sound thing.
Good evening again.
Yes, Charles.
Talking about cycling, the cycle tracks. Now, in Worthing, or close to Worthing, there's a place called Goring.
Yeah.
Do you know it at all?
Rhymes with boring.
Yeah, it does rhyme with it, but do you know Goring at all?
No, I don't.
Anyway, there was a road called...
I'll save that for my doddery old age.
Yeah, there's a road called Goring Road.
Yeah,
It's
apparently.
the road that runs right through Goring.
Goring, yeah. Hence Goring Road.
Well, it used to be 40 miles an hour, and I used to say to my wife, look at it, it's going through a shopping centre. Why don't they put this down to 30 miles an hour? But then after about 10 years or so, they've reduced the speed and put cycle tracks on. Now, they've got, on the left-hand side, you've got the cars parked, and then driving down, laid down at the driver's door side, they've got a cycle track. In between the parked cars
And the road.
the traffic that's moving.
Right.
So anybody can just fling their door open, which they do anyway,
Yeah.
and wallop.
And suddenly they're a trapeze artist.
Well, I mean, the thing is, what kind of people have we got designing these tracks and things and saying where they're going to go? They're
Idiots.
allowed to do this.
They're idiots.
Oh, thank you. It's not just me.
No, it's not just you, no.
It shouldn't be allowed, though, should it?
Well, you don't sound like a keen cyclist.
I used to be.
I'll take a wild stab in the dark.
No, I used to be.
Right.
Then I went to a motorbike,
Yeah.
got knocked off of that,
Yes.
unconscious 8.5 days. So I thought, that's
And
it.
you've learnt your lesson. Yeah. Good for
I
you.
learnt my lesson.
All right. Take the bus next time, Charles.
No, well, I've been driving the car since then, and I think I might have learnt a bit from it. I don't know.
And you haven't killed anybody lately.
No, I'd never killed anybody.
All right. Good man. Thanks a lot. Keep it up.
Thank you.
Cheers, Charles. Ta-ta. Yeah, see, nothing about that actually seems appealing to me, riding a bicycle in London. I mean, everybody's too stressed, nobody's looking where they're going. I mean, you know what it's like when you're driving a car, you're not really paying that much attention because you're in your own little cocoon, and you got the stereo on, and you're trying to find the phone to send a text to someone you just met last night. You know, you were down at the club, and you want to text out, I really love you, and so you're only half looking at the road. You need the eyes like Kate Moss. You've got one eye on the road and one eye on... Maybe that's how her eyes are like that.
Maybe.
One eye looking at through the windscreen, and the other on a little mobile phone.
What, and they just became stuck?
Yeah, that's right. Crawley. Richard.
Hi, Nick.
Hi, Richard.
Yeah, about your strange 5-yard-long cycle lane. How long did you say it was?
It's about 5 feet.
Yeah,
Just
5
long enough to fit a bicycle on it.
Well, you know, I mean, you won't be surprised to work out, to realise why those cycle lanes exist. It's one of your favourite topics.
Go on.
Targets.
Targets?
Yeah. Basically, local authorities across the country have got cycling targets, and they've got one of the targets is to have so many meters of cycle lane. So,
Really?
Yeah.
Is that the reason?
Well, I mean,
Because you see this everywhere. You know, unconnected cycle, I don't know what to call them, cycle paths that used to be a part of the pavement and are now coloured green that aren't actually connected to any other cycle route.
I mean, I'm quite a keen cyclist myself, and I personally don't really like those cycle lanes which are just painted on the pavement, because when you get to the junction, you basically have to stop at every junction. Every road you cross, you've got to keep stopping. So it's not very convenient, so I just tend to stick on the road anyway.
And, presumably, people that are on a pavement, I mean, I know this, you see a cycle lane on a pavement. When was the last time you saw a bike come by this way, I think? Never. So you don't look before you step blindly out. In Amsterdam, you'll get dringed at, because they've all got these cute little bells that I'm sure they loosen, because they don't have a sharp ring. I'm sure they loosen them so that they're not quite as aggressive, you know, because they're Dutch.
I know what you mean, yeah.
And you're forever getting dringed in Amsterdam as a tourist, because you're wandering blindly around, and you know, if there's excellent Dutch beer, and that's what you pour on your Dutch cornflakes in the morning, you know, just to get your heart started. And you're forever getting dringed, because crossing the road in Amsterdam is a nightmare. There's 10 different forms of death which are coming in 86 different directions, none of which are familiar to you, because everyone's driving on the wrong side of the road. And then there is one dring that is slightly louder than all of the others, and that's connected to a vehicle which, if it's coming upon you, and they do move relatively silently, and you'll hear the dring, and you think, oh, that sounds like a bike, and you look over your shoulder, and a vehicle the size of a building is bearing down upon you. The trams, their warning doesn't really fit the size of the vehicle itself. It should be some sort of you know, lorry-like foghorn.
Well, I mean, that sound. I mean, we have trams in you know, various parts of you know.
Oh, I keep forgetting. So we do, yeah.
We've got them in Sheffield, Croydon, Manchester,
That's right.
Nottingham, and they all make the same noise. Except Manchester doesn't actually make that noise for some reason. They have a little sort of whistle instead. But all the other places, they seem to go for the same.
The dring.
Yeah, same dring sound.
Right. You would think that they would be killing, what, dozens of people on a daily basis, really, because they just don't make enough noise in relation to the size of the thing that's stuck to it.
Well, yeah, you would have thought so, yeah. But you know, as far as I know, you know, people seem to. You would have heard about it a lot more if there were, you know, regular fatalities due to the silence of trams. I mean, that's the appeal, isn't it? I mean, you were saying the other day how much you didn't like buses because of the noise, whereas trams are a lot more silent.
Yeah. Okay, thanks a lot, Richard.
Okay,
yeah, I don't know how we got onto this. How did we get onto this so early? I started with pitchforks, and suddenly we were talking about bicycles. You needed an A to Z to work out where this is going.
I have no idea where you're going.
No. So we'll take stock, and we'll come right back.
Mm-hmm.
There follows an
LBC 97.3. Nick Abbott.
Hi, honey. How are you?
I'm super. Thanks for asking. So the papers were all full, all apart from the broadsheets were full of Britney Spears. You just could not get away from her. Pages 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and a special colour pull-out souvenir.
Special.
Yeah, I used that word already. I was trying to think of another one. Oh dear, never mind. Inside, it was just too much, and none of it was happy. It all looked very, very sad. All because well, I suppose it wasn't because, but it was due to her bodyguard spilling the beans about what it's like over at Shea Brittany. And not a happy place, apparently.
I'm sure he's done all right.
Not the bodyguard, I'm talking about Brittany.
Oh, Brittany.
I don't care about the bodyguard.
Oh, right, oh. Well, you know, being famous has its perks and has its downsides,
Well,
I
I
guess.
suppose so, yeah. She makes £300,000 a month.
Oh, I read that.
A month? From what, though? She only had one major hit, didn't she? There's only one hit that everyone could hold their hand up and think, yes, that's Britney Spears, the one that starts dang, dang, dang.
But maybe that's all you need. That's all you need, and that's why...
Quite possibly.
You know, you need a Christmas #1.
Slade?
Yeah.
Don't Stop Laughing till about March. Every year. They start guffawing in late November when all the shops start putting, oh, no, I can't remember what it is. Merry Christmas, everybody, or is that Wizard?
Could
be Christmas every day. That's right. And then the checks start rolling in January, I would think, just in time for the sales. And they're, every time the postman comes, they're just laughing ever louder. This song that they made, 30 years ago. Must be even more than that.
But, they can't wait. Well, they've only got a couple more months to go. Then
that's a very, very depressing thought.
Why?
Well, it is a very depressing thought.
Everyone says it's depressing, because it's nearly Christmas, but that's exciting, isn't it?
Well, Okay, the point up to Christmas and New Year is exciting because, first of all, we have the end of summer, which we're experiencing right now. This weekend was fantastic.
Yeah.
And now we have the trees all turning. And I get the inkling that it's going to be a particularly good year for colour. People were saying last year was going to be a good year for colour because we had very little rain and there was going to concentrate the juice in the tree that would produce good colour. I've got no idea what I'm talking about now. Or indeed at all, on any subject. No one should listen to this programme. But this year, for some reason, I don't know what it might be, that it rained early and then hasn't rained pretty much since, because the last few months, they haven't been that nice, but they have been very dry.
Yes.
And I'm getting an iridescence from the leaves that wasn't around last year. I think it's going to be eye-poppingly spectacular.
Fingers
Not as
crossed.
spectacular as in Manhattan, by the way. Where our next call may or may not come from.
Well, hopefully.
You're going to dial him back.
Yes. Oh,
we're hearing the whole thing.
you are.
But yes, so that's something to look for. And then comes Bonfire Night, remember, the 5th of November, and then Halloween, it's the other way around. And then the big build-up to Christmas, and then New Year's, and then, this is why it's depressing to think of Christmas, because we know what the and then part is, with the January, February, March, April, possibly May, June, could all be horrible.
That's where nothing ever happens.
That's right. There needs to be some sort of thing in, I would say, the end of February, just to drag us through it.
I think it needs to be later. Well, March.
If they moved Christmas to the end of February, it would be beneficial for a number of reasons. First of all, you don't need Christmas and New Year side by side.
Right.
You could spread the holidays out and spread the fun.
Of course.
Plus, if you had Christmas at the end of February, then people wouldn't get crushed when they go shopping because there'd be no one in the shops.
Good point.
Here is Manhattan, New York, New York. So great they named it twice.
Hello, Nick. I'm sort of guessing I'm on.
It sounds like you.
It does sound like me. No, the only reason I'm calling is the streaming feed doesn't seem to be working. So the only way I'm listening to you is through the telephone.
Oh, it's a complaint. The streaming feed isn't working. Is it perhaps your computer? Have you tried turning it off and on again?
I've seen that TV program through BitTorrents. No, it doesn't work. And I've even tried changing the media player.
Perhaps it's something to do with your sound card.
No, I've tried an MP3 file and that works fine.
We'll get a team of experts on it straight away.
I believe you will.
By which I mean tomorrow.
All right, I'll just have to listen to the podcast then.
All right. Excellent choice. Thanks a lot, mate.
No worries, Nick. Take care.
Ta-ta. Our podcast, by the way, everyone should sign up for that. I thoroughly recommend it. It's at lbc.co.uk/LBC+.
Docky/Docky.
Am I right about that?
Yes.
Yes. So if you missed a second of this show, or indeed any other on the air, then lbc.co.uk, and on the front page there you'll find out where to go. LBC Plus is what we call it. So the other thing that was not, I don't really want to talk about Britney Spears, because it's just too awful. I mean, it's like, we're all curtain twitchers now, and you can tell that that's true, just by the magazines on your supermarket checkout. I remember that magazines on supermarket checkouts, which are an exact representation of the psyche of the nation, used to be all about cooking and
kitchenware.
Yeah, and tips on saving money and how to look nice in a dress that you made from your kitchen curtains and all that rubbish. Now it's stars with no makeup on and
shaved heads.
Yes, and people who are fatter than their publicity shots. And look, there's some orange peel thighs, and they're just basically trying to rip apart everybody that they've previously put on pedestals. That's what we're like now.
Is it us, or is it the publishers of the magazine?
Well, that's an interesting point. Is it it's chicken and egg, really, isn't it? Is it Live or Memorex?
Do you actually buy any?
No, of course not. Neither do I flip through them. I wouldn't sully myself.
All right, okay, say you're on a tube train.
Yeah.
And
there was a magazine left on the seat.
Yeah.
Would I flip through it?
Yeah.
Yes, of course I would.
Because you're interested in looking at...
Well, yes, but I'm not so interested that I would make it a part of my everyday life. I would flip through that in just the same way as I'd flip through the Financial Times if somebody had left it there, just to see you know, what the other half are reading.
Yeah. I guess so.
We are all interested in the personal, private travails of other people. That's what soaps are all about. And I've said this before. Soaps exactly reflect the national psyche. In America, all soaps are about beautiful people having hot, sensual relations with each other, and occasionally shooting them. In this country, and because in America everybody wants money and everybody wants to look beautiful. It's their duty to be beautiful. In this country, however, it seems to me, having seen precious little of it, but every time I turn on, it's ugly people whining at each other. I mean, even the theme tune is depressing. So that's that's who we are. Just look at the soaps of any nation.
But maybe it's the soap's fault. Maybe the soaps are, dragging us down. Do you think?
No, I don't.
Oh.
In this instance, as far as the media goes, I think that it's not us being led astray by the media. It's the media accurately reflecting who we are. That's why they sell so much.
Oh,
that's why the Sun and the News of the World sell so much, because we are interested in other people's sex lives and other people's. I keep coming back to this lyric. I think it's one of the best lyrics in rock, and it was written by a spiky-haired oik called Johnny Rotten. It's a cheap holiday in other people's misery. Yeah, it's true, and that's a perfect description of EastEnders. I'm certain of it. A cheap holiday in other people's misery. I guarantee the next episode of EastEnders, it'll start after that funereal march. Ugly people will be shouting at each other. They'll go.
But is it because we like the actual misery bit of it, or is it just because shouting and screaming at other people is really dramatic to watch?
Well, it's not necessarily even shouting. It's just one long simmering moan. It is.
so we like other moaners.
I just think that we like to see other people having a really awful life. It makes us feel better about ours.
Yeah, I can buy that.
The last part, I'm not sure about. I know that the first part is true. We do like to see other people having a bad time, which is what all of these supermarket checkout magazines are all about. And it seems that there was a sea change in the coverage of celebrities, because for a long while there, they were all treated like gods, no matter who they were. And they could do no wrong, and the pictures that the press bought were always the ones that were the most flattering. And then, almost as though somebody had switched on a light, and I think this came from Spain, suddenly all of the photographs that were the most in demand were the ones that had previously been rejected. The stars with their eyes half closed, and if you have a picture with your eyes half closed, it looks like you're drunk.
Yeah.
And so they just say that they were, because if you're in the public eye, you can't go around suing everybody for every piece of misinformation about you, so you can get away with murder, pretty much. And now that's all we get, because they've seen that these are the things that actually really sell, which is kind of depressing, really, that that's who we are, don't you think?
We're just a depressing bunch, and we like other moaners.
Yeah. Yes. But we don't like to think of ourselves in that manner.
Oh, no. You think of yourself as different to all that lot. I'm not putting myself into that,
right.
in that
so
category.
You and I and everybody listening to this aren't like that at all.
Where does UK?
LVC 97.3.
Nick Abbott.
Let me give you the number, because the thing didn't. 0870 90 90 973. I'll say it again for those slow of writing. 0870 90 90 973. Okay, so what the papers were full of today were Britney Spears in the rabid tabloids and Gordon Brown in the broadsheets. Will he, won't he? Gordon, the go for it. It'll be October, maybe not. I think he will. But the one thing that strikes me about Gordon Brown is how much he's changed what he looks like.
He has, hasn't he?
Because he was kind of difficult to look at for the longest time, because he looked like washing left in the corner of the room, the crumpled suit and the same tie. or perhaps he had a lot of them that all looked exactly the same. The fingernails. Now, I haven't seen his fingernails in a good long while. Now, he reached the age that he's at. How old is he? 50, perhaps? If a 50-year-old man is still biting his fingernails right down to the quick so that there is nothing left anymore, then it's going to be a hard task to wean him off that.
Yeah.
So I would like to see his fingernails now, because he'll have people swarming all over him now to try and make him more attractive to the general public.
Do you reckon the Prime Minister, whoever is in office, they have their own, I don't know, fashion coordinator, you know, that lives at number 10 permanently?
Oh, I don't know about that, but I'm sure that they'd be on call 24 hours a day to make sure that they are turned out correct. Well, Tony Blair famously had this woman who, Mrs. Blair, was very upset about, almost permanently, because she spent more time with him than he did, telling him how to comb his hair, and seeing him on television and calling him up and saying, your tie's not straight, you know, and all that sort of stuff. So, yeah, they do need a minder as far as their visual appearance goes, because the press, again, will take any imperfection, any comical mistake, and just blow it up. Like poor Ming the Merciful, who was mistakenly advised to go and inspect a toilet, and was plastered all over the papers, pointing into the bowl of a toilet. Well, I mean, that's just, that's an open goal to satirists, isn't it? I mean, he'll never recover from that. No, there's a little story about his look in the, I don't know, it looks like the Telegraph, perhaps. Gordon Brown has changed his taste in clothing in the past 10 years to a more sophisticated look, according to his tailor. He always goes to the same, hey, I went to Ian Lee's hairdresser the other day by complete coincidence.
Did you?
Yeah, I've had the same guy cut my hair for about 20 years, and I don't think, apart from once when I was in Leeds, and I couldn't come down that weekend, I don't think anyone has ever cut my hair in my entire adult life, apart from this guy, who happens to be on holiday. So I went to this, I just picked one at random.
Yeah.
And he said, oh, LBC, yeah, I do Ian Lee's hair. I couldn't believe it.
Oh, wow. Did he give you a discount because of
No,
that?
he didn't, no. Timothy Everest is the man who's now dressing Gordon Brown. Whose bespoke suits start from, guess how much? Ooh. That's right, £1,100. That's a lot for a piece of cloth, isn't it?
It is, and how often is he going to wear that?
Well, every day. I mean, he's never out of a suit.
You can't wear it every... If you're in the public eye, you can't wear the same suit every day, because the press will pick up on that.
Well, I suppose so.
You'll have to, like, at least wear it once every 2 weeks.
So he's probably got 5.
Yes, or at least 5.
So if they start at 1,100, you think that the PM, a man of his magnificence, would be charging would be spending at least £2,000.
Of course.
I mean, if it starts at the lowly 1,000s, then that would be for, I don't know, the same kind of material that potatoes come in.
Does this come out of his own pocket?
I hope so. I really do hope so. Wouldn't that be dreadful if we were paying for it? But I bet that we are.
Surely there has to be a cut-off point, you know. Okay, maybe we pay for his outfits because he's in the public eye, but do we also pay for, like, things like shower gel and stuff like that? And shampoo?
There have been a few subtle changes, says Timothy Everest. When we first started working with him, he wanted the pedestrian, lighter blue suits, but now he's choosing darker shades, which are more flattering on his silhouette, and work better with his greying hair. I wasn't aware that Gordon Brown had a silhouette. I thought he was shaped much like a brick.
Yeah.
But I suppose that if lit from behind, a brick would have a silhouette.
He's got a very, wooden walk, isn't he?
Yeah. It's one of the many things that are physically disturbing about him.
Yeah.
The fingernail thing, the jaw that drops at the end of every sentence when he breathes in, which make him look reptilian. The walk. I don't recall seeing him walk.
I don't get it, though. Like, he looks like he's...
I fancied that people, like, wheeled him around on casters.
Recently, he looks like he's had his hair brushed. Right.
Brushed.
No, seriously, he's had his hair...
I thought you were going to say dyed. He's had his hair brushed. What, you mean he's brushed his hair?
Yes, it looks tidier,
Or he's gone out and had it done.
It looks a lot tidier.
Yeah. Cut, you mean?
Yeah. But, you know, it looks, and he's probably, you know, he's probably spent a fortune doing it, but people are just going to remember him as Gordon Brown, just this.
Yeah,
bloke.
I don't think it matters what he does now. We will always have because for the last 10 years, I mean, I know he tries to pretend that he hasn't got anything to do with the last 10 years, but he's the man that controlled every penny that was spent. Alan Greenspan, the head of the Federal Reserve in America, said that when he met Tony Blair, he wasn't impressed with him at all. He looked like a lightweight. And he said he assumed that Tony Blair was Gordon Brown's, what was the phrase he used?
Assistant?
Well, okay, I'll go with assistant, because I think the word that I'm looking for, you can see it on the back of a train. You know those old Wild West trains that have a balcony at the back? That's not the right phrase, but you get the image. And that word is on the balcony waving at me as it recedes into the distance. I'll never be able to remember that. But yes, okay, his assistant. He looked like, that Tony Blair looked like Gordon Brown's assistant.
Why would he think Gordon Brown was
Well, no, he didn't actually think that he was, but he thought that that was what the relationship was, that Tony Blair was just the happy, smiley guy who dropped his H's on Richard and Judy, and Gordon Brown was actually the man in charge, which I would, I'd be prepared to believe. What I'm not prepared to believe is this like, blinking in the spotlight act that he's got now, that the last 10 years had nothing to do with him. He's just said that he's going to fight the next election on the NHS. I'll come to that in a minute. Write that down.
NHS. Gordon Brown.
I must get through at least one thought before 1 o'clock.
In full.
Yes. When we first started working with him, he wanted the pedestrian lighter blue suits, but now I've never seen Gordon Brown in a light blue suit. He's always just dressed dourly. Yes.
Just in his black cloak.
Well, it's prudent to dress darkly because it shows up the dirt less frequently.
Clever.
Gone are the off-the-peg crumpled suits and red ties that became his trademark look as the Chancellor. The Prime Minister's new look is all about bespoke, made-to-measure suits and pastel ties in order to make himself appear more friendly and likeable and warm and approachable and more likely to get your vote.
People aren't that stupid.
Yes.
People aren't suckered in by
absolutely
pastel
by
ties.
the colour of your tie. Yes, absolutely. Well, you know, if you watch the TV news...
Yeah.
When was the last time that you actually watched the TV news and you didn't make any immediate judge about the presenter? Every time that you see the news, I mean, apart from in the good old days, it were gran when I were a lad. Presenters used to be people like Bosanquet.
Who?
Reginald Bosanquet. Now, anyone who's called Reginald is automatically 80 years old.
Of course.
This old geezer who used to read the news, and he looked like a friend of your granddad's, and you believed every word he said, because he didn't look like he would, you know, he was in show business, and they all look like they're in show business now. I mean, the women newsreaders in particular are stunning. I mean, they're obviously not chosen for their journalistic prowess. They're chosen because they look gorgeous, aren't they? I'd be prepared to believe that there is a pool of women who are geniuses, from which they choose the stunning ones. But it is no accident that they all look gorgeous, and that the men all look kind of bland.
It's funny how
like you almost don't see the men sitting next to them. The women all, and on top of looking beautiful, like models resting.
Yeah.
They're all dressed up like they're going to the opera.
It is funny how the stunning ones do make it onto the TV, isn't it?
It's not funny or weird or any of those things. They're by design. Some bright spark who runs television has decided that in order to increase ratings, what you really want on the news is a beautiful woman telling you about the recent deaths in your area. Like it would make any difference if it came from a good-looking person.
Well,
they've taken the mindset of the weather person and taken it to the news.
It's from American TV news, isn't it? Because
yes, the Americanization of television news is complete, much as the Americanization of British politics is complete. It's all about surface. It's got nothing to do with depth at all. It's all bright, shiny teeth and sparkly eyes and makeup and earrings and...
silver lining.
Yeah, and that's just the men. Anyway, we are swayed by pastel ties, but that was my basic point.
Right.
That if somebody is wearing something garish while they're reading the news, you don't hear about Iran's crazy premier Mahmoud Ahmadinejad has just got his hands on nuclear weapons. Maybe he has, maybe he hasn't, and the Third World War is beckoning. Because you can only think, what is she wearing? I mean, that happens so often, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we are that superficial. I am. An outfit from the tailor who is based. This is Timothy Everest, who is based in a restored Georgian house in London Spitalfields. Includes handmade shirts, which cost £125, and ties at £100. £100 for a tie! It's years since I bought a tie. I have a large selection of ties. I never wear them. Who wears ties anymore? People who run banks.
Well, not even them. Isn't the style now just to wear an open collar shirt?
Well, the good thing too. I mean, ties. What are ties actually for? I'm sure I know this, but I can't remember it right now.
I think that there is no actual purpose, though. It's just...
No, there used to be for a purpose, I'm certain of it. And they metamorphosed into the long, skinny thing that we know today.
Well, isn't it...
Which was not their original shape, I'm sure.
Don't they come from cravats, originally? Is it just a...
It's some sort of neck thing to cover the... I can't remember. Someone will know. Maybe. But to me, it's a food magnet.
What, the tie?
Yeah, it's an uncleanable silk food magnet. Well, you know, whenever I wear them, the second that I approach food, it's just on it. In it.
Well, that's... you know, you could get away with that, probably.
But it doesn't stop there, apparently, at the £125 shirts and the £100 ties. Mr. Everest also made, the guy who's now doing, Gordon Brown, also did David Beckham's wedding outfit.
Oh.
That's how famous he is. And he dressed Tom Cruise for Mission Impossible. What did David Beckham wear for his wedding? It was probably dreadful, wasn't it?
I think if I can remember...
It was purple.
It was a whole entire purple outfit.
Right. To match his... Oh, by the way, David Beckham's going to be the last guest on Parkinson. Now, how predictable was... That's about as predictable as Billy Connolly also being a guest on the last show of Parkinson.
Boring!
Oh, blimey. Have you seen any of that yet?
What? Since he moved to ITV?
Parkinson, yeah.
Yeah, well...
His run is on now, isn't it? He got shunted onto virtually a midnight shift because,
did his views go down, or...?
No, there was something on this week. What was it? It was celebrity Elvis impersonators. Oh no, that was the BBC. Isn't that shocking? Isn't that shocking? Your Saturday night entertainment. I hope you enjoyed it. You paid for it. From the BBC was Elvis impersonators from around the world. I mean, the noise that you can hear in the background is the sound of barrels being scraped.
LBC 97.3.
0870 90 90 973.
Nick Abbott.
Well, let's get back to it.
Hey, I'm a professional. You see how I stuck that in there?
Brilliant.
Anyway, I was talking about Gordon Brown and his gorgeous new look, Gorgeous Gordon. To match his smart new suits, Mr. Brown has even enlisted the help of Kevin Graham, a hairstylist from Cherie Blair's favourite salon, Michael John. You wouldn't believe how much getting your hair cut costs. It's staggering.
Well, I
because like I say, I've been going to the same guy for about 20 years, and he gives me a discount.
Yeah.
Thereby insulating me from the increasing cost of getting getting yourself tonsorialed up. And I looked around on the internet at places in Soho, and I could not believe what they want to get your hair cut.
Well,
so I went to the cheapest one, which coincidentally was the one that Ian Lee uses.
I get my haircut sometimes done for £9.
Yeah, it looks about £9. Yeah.
That's all right.
It looks all of £9.
The thing is, what's the difference? I don't see the difference between paying like £9 and £90.
Yeah.
Because your hair's still coming off your head, isn't it?
They can't do anything about your head. Yeah, you're right. That's something else entirely. Where am I? Oh, yeah. And this guy, he visits the Prime Minister at Downing Street to trim his once unruly locks. It's right enough, his hair does look better, right? 'Cause he used to look an absolute shower. He's said to have had his teeth professionally straightened. Yes, his smile looks a bit more Hollywood now, right enough. Not only that, but they've been whitened, and that's thought to have sent him back more than £700. A lot more, I would have thought.
Yeah.
I think Gordon Brown's rather stoic appearance plays very well, said Dylan Jones, the editor of GQ magazine. The only politicians who are allowed to be photographed in casual dress are Americans, unless you're Putin, of course, who now goes around naked. Yeah. Crazy Russian premier, Vlad the Insaner, as he's completely lost his mind, which is very worrying to all of us.
Yes. Isn't he in charge of a massive country?
Well, he's engineered it so that he's going to be in charge of a massive country forever.
Uh-oh.
He's fashioning himself as a new Stalin. He's crushing all opposition. He's appointed someone that no one has ever heard of. He dissolved Parliament and then appointed his mate as the as Prime Minister because Vlad can't stand again. It's the law there.
Yeah.
But he can come back after a period of absence.
But of how long?
I think it's 4 years.
Right.
Or in an emergency. And so what they're saying now is that he's installed his mate as Prime Minister, who will, as soon as Vlad the Insaner steps down, will engineer some sort of illness or state emergency so that Vlad can charge back in, because he's very popular over there.
Yeah.
Because he's done a few things that that Russians actually really like. Because not so very long ago, all Russians had to look forward to was a potato in the evening. And, you know, state Russian television was recent marches in your area. They had no fun at all. And so Vlad decided to take back all the gas and the oil that a lot of criminals from Russia had nicked.
Yeah.
You know, the Gorbachev era and Yeltsin had basically thrown everything up in the air, and the people who caught it then ran back over here and bought Knightsbridge. All those people. And so the Russian premier took all the money back in order to make the once proud nation rich again.
Wee.
And so he's doling it all. I don't know quite what he's doing. I think he's spending it on the military. But anyway, there's a glowing future for the country where once none could be seen. And so he's incredibly popular over there because also he's threatening other countries. He's using his muscle to cow the other satellite nations that used to be part of Mother Russia and us, by buzzing our airspace with potentially nuclear bomb-carrying planes.
He does look scary, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's a nutter.
Yeah.
And I say that and taking my life into my hands, as you know. But I don't think he speaks English very well, does he?
Probably better than he makes out.
Right. But he knows a lot of people who do, yeah.
Yeah, that's maybe his key.
But anyway, that's Putin, who is wandering around with his shirt off in order to make himself look more manly. It's just, to us, makes himself look more ridiculous. Russians may be lapping it up, I have no idea. I mean, spending a weekend half naked with other men in a tent talking about the big bomb and describing rockets to each other. Well, we don't need Dr. Freud to figure that one out, do you?
It just doesn't look right seeing world leaders with their
shirts off, no.
Because you don't actually think of them as human beings, do you? Well, you don't. And
some less than others,
because Tony Blair was snapped with his top off on holiday, wasn't he?
Yes. His giant swinging man boobs did him no favours in our eyes.
No.
Neither did those flowery shorts he was wearing. It doesn't become a world leader, no.
See, they're probably thinking, oh, you know, this makes me look more human to the people and they can relate to me, but...
Well, I'm sure he took his top off not realising it was going to be splashed all over the front pages. He thought maybe he was, you know, he could just relax like a normal human being, as you would if you're on holiday. You wouldn't wear a suit to the beach.
No, of course...
Unfortunately, when you're a leader of a country, you have to. Otherwise you will invite ridicule.
Of course he knew he was going to get papped.
Anyway, the only politicians who are allowed to be photographed in casual dress are Americans, like the, you know, that ridiculous cowboy that's running things over there at the moment.
Absolutely.
Mr. Everest, however, this tailor, has another sartorial project for the Prime Minister. He says, the next thing I'd like to look at for Gordon is developing some kind of formal, casual wardrobe for him.
Oh, no!
What would that be? Can you imagine Gordon in anything other than a suit? He said, a more relaxed weekend look, where he could look smart, and not just in a suit. Like a long black cape with a full head visor, for instance.
LBC 97.3.
Oh, 08709090973.
Nick Abbott.
I'll say it slower. 08709090973. The story that has been carrying over from the beginning of the week is about the migrant workers in Huntingdon in Cambridgeshire. And the police there are saying that they haven't been allocated enough money by the Home Office in order to cope with this influx of migrant workers who are picking all the fruit that we're enjoying.
Mm.
And they're saying that 80,000 foreign workers are estimated to have come into eastern England, and some staggering statistic like 1 in 5 crimes are being committed by this tiny minority of people that have come in. And immigrant workers are importing their national feuds and criminal behaviour to rural England, the police chief said at the beginning of the week, and they don't have enough money to keep up with it, because they're busy filling out forms and, meeting police targets, and there's nothing that they can do to come and help you unless you're being actually killed at the moment.
So they're just going to leave it then?
Well, they were moaning and whining about this. Cambridgeshire Police has produced a guide. They've actually produced a guide to behaving in Britain that's available in 15 languages. It warns immigrants not to touch or fondle people without their permission.
What? Really?
Yes. Let me make this absolutely clear. Anyone, and I do mean anyone, can touch and fondle me. You have my complete permission. Go ahead, enjoy yourself. They're also advised not to urinate or spit in public, and they are told that people may find it intimidating to be stared at.
But surely, aren't these kind of rules, or whatever you want to call them, aren't these kind of like common sense things that would probably, relate to them in their own countries?
Well, apparently not.
Oh.
Because the countries that they're coming from, the implication is that are a little more backward a little less sophisticated, let's put it that way, than ours. And they're bringing their ways here, like drink driving, for instance. They're saying that their attitudes to drink driving are about 20 years behind ours, and there has been a 17-fold rise of arrests of foreigners drink driving. But the story is basically that the police in Cambridgeshire were moaning and whining that they didn't have enough money to deal with this influx of migrants.
Right.
Come to find out today that very same police force have bought themselves some luxury vehicles for their own use, not just for police use, but for their own use in their own leisure time. The police force that claimed that it did not have enough cash to fight migrant crime has bought Volvo cars for top officers, of course. It's not for the rank and file.
No.
For the management.
Of course.
To use on and off duty. The Cambridgeshire Police allows the officers to use the cars for holidays, shopping trips, and other social and domestic pleasure purposes, as well as when they are on duty. They're Volvo XC70 estates for all the superintendents and chief superintendents. They cost at least £33,000 each. But you can imagine that if a chief superintendent had a Volvo coming, then he'd be flipping through the catalogue to decide what extras he'd want in his own car, don't you think?
Oh,
if
yeah.
it wasn't his money, then that's what I'd be doing. So the very police force that said that it didn't have enough money, that indeed asked for another £2.7 million to pay for new officers to cope with this workload, has just bought, guess how much they've spent on these cars?
Oh, okay, one cost 33,000,
Yeah.
so I'm guessing...
That's right. £500,000.
What?
Yeah. On cars that they can use for shopping trips and holidays and their own personal enjoyment.
I don't get it.
No, well, nobody does. So they're saying that we haven't got enough money for rank-and-file officers to actually go out and deal with crime.
Yes.
But when it comes to management, well, there's no end of cash available.
Well, they could, they can try.
They're also, I'm sure, flipping through furniture catalogues to choose their £1,000 chairs and re-carpet their offices, and there's just no end of fun to be had. Anyway, I just thought that was amusing that the two sat side by side this week, those two stories. Well, the phones have been literally ringing off the hook, eh? Is it because I haven't asked people to call in?
Maybe.
I'll try that in the next hour. This is LBC.
LBC 97.3.
Nick Abbott.
I had my thing unplugged.
I'm listening, dear. You can talk to me.
I'm glad to hear it. Just doing some last-minute checking.
Great time to unscrew your machine.
Yes, I know. So I wonder if anybody actually did that bicycle ride today. Yeah, and I wonder also if anybody did the open house, because that happened last weekend, wasn't it? And I always do that, but unfortunately I work weekends now.
Yeah.
And I couldn't get there. I've seen some fantastic buildings. The amount of money that the government spends on itself can only be fully appreciated when you go to one of these open house things. Open house is a weekend in September where government buildings and private buildings that are ordinarily verboten to the public are opened up, thrown open they are, and people can queue at their leisure. I've seen the Foreign Office, which is very grand inside. I saw the Lloyd's building, the Lloyd's of London building, the metal thing with the tubes on the outside, which is just so depressing. No wonder the people who work in there are reported to hate it. I wouldn't go to work if I had to work there.
Why is it depressing?
Well, it's above ground, but it looks like it's in a basement. It's the actual trading room is one giant room with a lot of desks in.
Yeah.
That and each desk represents a different insurance company. And when we went in there, it was empty. The noise that must be produced in there must be cacophonous when it's actually full of people. But there's no windows. That's the thing. It's this giant room with a high ceiling, but it feels oppressive, as though you are stuck in a tomb.
Like
it's horrible.
Like a bat cave.
Yeah, the only good bit about it are the lifts that go up the outside.
That's it.
And a room at the very top that they nicked from another building. Well, when I say nicked, I'm sure they didn't steal it, but it was removed from a nicer building and put in there. But the Lloyd's of London building, it might look attractive from the outside, if you like that manner of brutalism. You see, but inside, it's hideous.
You see, it sounds interesting, this open house weekend, but I think,
you can't be bothered.
No, it's not that. It's just that they're only going to show you the things that they want you to see, not the things that you probably really, really want to see.
Well, like what?
I don't know, you just, okay, you can go into the Foreign Office and have a nosy round. You can't properly go in and have a nosy round.
No, you actually could.
What?
Well, you couldn't leaf through people's files, but you could go and look around the magnificent rooms. And I've been to gentlemen's clubs in St James, which are very impressive, and the Commonwealth House and the Directors Institute, and all these places that you would ordinarily be barred from. They throw their doors open, as do people who live in architect-designed homes. I've been around, somebody's house that was like a capsule of the 70s. Everything in it came from the 1970s when the house was actually built. And it's just fascinating stuff.
But in the Foreign Office, are you allowed to see the actual crisis rooms where they have crisis meetings and stuff like that? And
well, I don't know where they have crisis meetings. It probably looks like any other boardroom.
Oh, right, yeah,
But now you get to see the staircase and just wander around. You can't sort of just wander willy-nilly. You have to go on a tour.
Yeah, that's the thing, and that's what puts me off, because...
Well, this is perfectly reasonable. You don't want people just wandering around helping themselves to vital information.
Oh, boy.
It's not boring. It's very, very good. Everyone should do it. If you didn't get to do it this year, then I think you can sign up to get their little booklet that comes out. It's called Open House Weekend.
And it's free?
Yes, it is absolutely free. The book will cost you £3, but to go around all the all the places. And the only bad thing about it is that it's only one weekend, and there's no way that you can get around even a small fraction of the places that you would want to see in the course of 2 days.
Is anyone actually working in these buildings when you're looking around?
Well, usually not. No, particularly the government buildings. They up sticks at 5 on Fridays, don't they? In fact, they go to lunch on Friday, and very few of them go back.
Return.
Yeah. Let's take Hammersmith. Stephen.
Yes, hello, Nick Abbot.
Stephen.
How are you? Yeah, I'm listening to your show. It's quite nice. You're talking about different subjects, but I want to completely change direction because today I heard that a very interesting and great person passed away yesterday.
Go on.
Marcel Marceau.
Marcel Marceau is dead.
Yeah.
I haven't heard one word about that.
Yeah, I was actually surprised that nothing was in the news. You know, it's because it's a subject a little bit close to my heart because I used to work a little bit like I never was as good as Marceau. You know, I was doing a little bit miming and I was doing a little bit clowning, but I just went on YouTube, as some of you say, and you could see some of his fantastic work, you know.
Right, like he's trapped in a box and all that stuff.
Or, you know,
walking into the wind, all of that.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, he was a fantastic person. And I read his like a short story of his life. He survived Holocaust. His parents were killed. His father was killed, and he was under great impression of Charlie Chaplin. You know, and he died by the age of 84. And actually, I was surprised that not so many people. I mean, nothing was mentioned.
I didn't see it in any papers. I didn't see it on news broadcasts. I didn't hear it on the radio. Marcel Marceau is gone.
Yeah, and
was he French or Belgian? French, I suppose.
Oh, I think he was French.
Right.
Yeah,
Belgians would love to claim him as their own because there's precious few famous Belgians. I mean, I know they're having their own problems at the minute, so let's not kick them while they're down. But can we think of any famous Belgians apart from Matisse? No, not Matisse. Magritte.
Poirot.
Yeah, well, he's fictional. You see, you know you're in trouble as a country if the second famous person you think of doesn't actually exist. But anyway, we're all very upset, Stephen. Thanks for bringing that to our attention. All right.
You're welcome.
Cheers, mate. Ta-da. Here is, he didn't sound like a satisfied customer, did he? Here's Catford. Hello, Trixie.
Hello.
Trixie.
Hi. Actually, it's interesting that gentleman mentioned Marcel Marceau. I heard that on the news myself today.
Really?
And there was a girl at college who went, I believe, to study under Marcel Marceau.
Didn't David Bowie study with Marcel Marceau, or was that Lindsay Kemp, or both, perhaps?
Yeah, I think David Bowie did. So there's a.
That was during his embarrassing I'm trapped in a box thing.
Yeah.
Which never actually worked. You're not very good at that, David. Fantastic at almost everything else you touch, but leave the miming alone.
Well, the girl, Karen, who's at college with me, was brilliant at mime. She was absolutely fabulous.
But let's face it, mime is, with no offence to the recently departed, it's rubbish, isn't it?
Well, it depends when you see it and what you see it with.
As an art form,
well, yes, but mime
precious little worse.
Mime, dance, performing,
The only thing that's worse is those dopes who stand on boxes in Covent Garden and want you to give them money just because they've covered themselves in silver paint.
Oh, dear. For the statues.
Yeah.
Well, yes, that is a bit sad. Anyway, that's not why I called in. And I am not calling in about your plea to fondle you. I know that I would not be included in that. You would have a ban of at least 10,000 feet around yourself from me. So I won't. He's wondering what I'm talking about now.
Oh, go on.
Right. This is something which is not part of one of your subjects tonight. Smoking laws. And I live in a private accommodation, and it's a house that's been converted into maisonettes. I'm downstairs, and the chap upstairs, and we get on very well.
Right. Has he got carpets?
Sorry? Yes, he's got carpet.
Okay.
Yes, he's very considerate in that score.
Because you don't want to be underneath anyone with wooden floors.
No, it's we've got a lot of problems, but I'm not going to talk about those on air. I live in a cupboard because I have the garden, you see, so
Right.
it's much smaller.
Garden flat.
The problem,
otherwise known as the basement. Yes.
Yeah, but it's also we share the little hallway, and our doors are bang next to each other.
Yeah.
And he smokes, and I don't. Now he smokes like he's a chain smoker. When he comes down his stairs, he'll come down with a lit cigarette, lock his door. When he's standing outside my door as he does this, and the waft of smoke coming into my flat. I'm lying in bed, and suddenly there's, oh my God.
Yeah, I feel for you there, because somebody was smoking. It was, they were a rebel, and they'll never be any good. In the hallway underneath me, and the smoke was rising through the lift shaft, and thereby into my flat, and it was driving me to distraction.
Well, the thing is, you see, now I gave up a year ago. So I mean, but it's not because I'm sensitive. It's because my flat I'm living in is very small and airless. It really is small, very, very pokey. My internet connection comes out from my wardrobe. I mean, it's that bad. I had to cut a hole in the back of the wardrobe, and I'm in my bedroom is in the front room. It's the only place I could fit the bed.
Well, welcome to London, Trixie.
Yeah, I know.
Everyone lives like that now.
I've lived in Bedford, but I mean, I have talked to him. He says, "Oh yes, I'm sorry," blah blah blah. But he said, once or twice, he said, "Oh well, this is a public walkway." Well, actually, it's not.
Well, does he smoke in the hall?
Well, he comes out when he comes down the stairs with a lit cigarette.
Right.
Stands outside. Locks his door.
Having a fag.
Yes, and then goes out the front door.
Yeah.
He doesn't stop to think, I'll put the cigarette out before I go downstairs. Because it doesn't bother me upstairs, and he keeps his windows open, and that's fine.
Yeah, well,
I
warm
don't
air
mind
rises.
that. It's just that it is actually making me rather, unwell. And the air in this flat is awful, and there's no means of ventilation apart from the back door.
Well, you know what? This sounds like one of those small little things that will that in your mind will start to get bigger and bigger, and will start to affect your health.
Yes. So what does one do? I mean,
not the smoke will affect your health.
It's
but
a whole
you'll
worry about it.
Yeah.
Quite. So, I mean, can I just say, look, it is the law now not to smoke. It is. It's actually it's an infringement of my human rights. But I mean, I don't really want to go down that path.
No, just to ask him
firmly.
Well, I would leave firm as a second option.
Yes, all right.
But just to ask him if he wouldn't mind not lighting up till he gets outside.
Yes, I know. But then he comes off the street with a cigarette. He smokes up the street, and he'll come in with a lit cigarette. He won't just put it out outside.
Well, how long is he spending in the hall?
Well, it may not be. It's not very long. But it's when, he spends time outside opening his door and everything. Yeah. And the problem is, it just comes right under my door.
Right, and you get on well with him?
I get on well. It's just that, sometimes when he comes in, drinking, I don't particularly want to talk to him. Not a good time.
Right.
I just wonder, it's all right. I mean, I'm curious if anybody else has had this problem. And it's not because I was a smoker. I mean, that doesn't matter. It's just that it's the air in here is so poor anyway. But, I
Catford, yeah. Got to get out of Catford. Well, listen...
this is making you glad to be the other side of London. I thought you'd be pleased to get a call like this. You think, thank God I don't live there,
Well, listen, write a note and nail it to his door with the legend... Be polite! on it.
Okay.
Be polite. If only more people would be polite, less people would get killed. Right. That's true.
I think you're absolutely right.
Yeah, all right. Well, the best of luck with that, Trixie.
I won't fondle you if I bump into you.
Rightio. I'll make a note of that and hold you to it. Cheers, my dear.
What had I done? Thank you very much, Nick. Take care.
Ta-da.
Bye.
This is LBC.
LBC 97.3.
0870 90 90 973.
Nick Abbott.
I said that too quick. 0870 90 90 973.
Everything is going extremely well.
Burton-on-Trent. Hello, Adrian.
Hello, Nick. How you doing?
All right, thanks.
Yeah, help me out here. You're just on about Marcel, or whatever it is, died.
Yeah, Marcel Marceau is dead, apparently. No one had any idea. Probably because when he was saying that he was ill, no one could hear him. He was pointing to his throat. We didn't know it was serious. Turns out he couldn't breathe.
I shouldn't be laughing, that's not funny, is it? No, but didn't Kenny Everett used to do like a take-off of him?
Yeah, he called it... He called it...
Called?
Huh?
Well, yeah, that's going to be my question. What was it called? It drove me mad for the last 10 minutes.
Oh, now it's going to annoy me. Thanks a lot, mate. Marcel Wave. I can't believe that I can remember that. I can barely remember what I did last weekend. I can remember a character on a TV show that came and went 30 years ago.
Yeah.
Was it 30 years? Everything's 30 years ago. Isn't that shocking? 1977, I suppose. It was around about the punk years, wasn't it? Because he used to do a character called Sid Snot.
Yeah, that was very bizarre.
Yeah, Marcel Wave.
I'm just briefly going off what I was going to talk about. Did you think, what was his best work, Kenny Everett? Was it radio, or do you think it was TV?
Well, if you want, and I think this is still available on the World Wide Web. If you go and Google it, it was Captain Kremen and the Krells,
Yeah.
which was something that I used to look forward to in his old show. He used to work at a place that's still on the air. Aren't they doing well? Still going. In much changed form over at the other place, where I was this afternoon, and. He used to do Saturday afternoons. Well, more than that, he used to do the breakfast show with, it was the Kenny and Dave Cash. And I used to get up at, and you know how hard it is as a school child to get up in the morning.
Yeah.
But I used to get up at least an hour before I actually had to warm up my parents' radiogram, which was a thing that you'd turn on, and then the glow of the dial would gradually fade in, and then 3 minutes later, the sound would come out. And you couldn't really hold it to your ear because it was a giant piece of furniture.
Not very well.
Yeah, so that's what I used to listen to him on. And, yes, you know, in an industry that's been around for a relatively long period of time in this country, you'd have to say that if we were to make a world top 10 of radio talent...
Yeah.
We haven't got many entrants into that list, have we? And Kenny Everett is one of them.
It's just behind you, wouldn't he?
I'd say Alan Freeman, who is perhaps the greatest stylist DJ that we've produced, and he was Australian, would be in there as well. And then you start to run out.
And that's a sort of a depressing thing. All the radio talent we've had in this country is no longer with us anymore.
Yeah, they're all dead, that's right, yeah.
You're the other one keeping
the radio in heaven sounds fantastic, yeah. But yeah, if you want a little slice of radio heaven, go and look up Captain Kremen and the Krells. And then there was some company, I can't remember what they were called, that were, what's it called when you subscribe to something that's a podcast and they'll send it out to you, like a feed?
Subscription?
Well, I guess that will do. Yeah, that's not what I was looking for. They did that just recently, and they did all of them, as far as I can tell.
Yeah, because you'd think in that sort of day and age, I think it must have gone to reel or something. Because
well, it did. He put it on reel to reel when I was on student radio at University Radio Brunel, URB. One of us contacted him somehow. He was an extremely generous man, and he sent us the episodes on reel to reel. It didn't tell us that we had to send them back or that we could only play them a few times. Or I mean, this is copyright material. He just sent them to us.
Did you have anything to play them on?
Yeah, Revox. I came face to face with an old Revox machine. People don't know what that is at home probably, but an old a reel to reel tape machine with because in the old days, if you wanted to edit something, you didn't do it on your little pewter because there was no such thing. Only NASA had computers, and the computing power that you have in your phone would take up a room in those days. And so we had nothing like computers. We actually had razor blades and chopping blocks. Of course, rock stars use those for completely different purposes now. But in the old days, we used it to splice tape.
I guess if you messed up, you'd pretty much lost a lot of your material.
Yeah, that's right.
But, have you still
and
got
blood.
That? Have you still got that reel to reel?
What?
Have you still got that reel to reel that he sent you?
No, it wasn't. I think I left it at the radio station.
I was going to say, if you've ever fell in old times, that would be an eBay seller, wouldn't it?
Well, I suppose it would, yeah. But I wasn't thinking then. Like I said, computers had barely been invented, let alone eBay.
Yeah. But, changing the subject completely, have you ever... You might laugh at me for this, but have you ever been to a magic show?
Well, yes and no. I went to Jerry Sadowitz, one of the world's rudest comedians, who's also an extremely good close-up magician. But you weren't really paying much attention to the magic. You were more sort of ducking and covering from the hail of abuse that he'd be spitting in your general direction.
Where's he based then?
He's a stand-up comic.
Yeah, I mean, what, is he English, American?
No, he's Scottish.
Oh, right.
Very much so.
Both counts.
Yeah.
I guess it's close when I'm over on biology.
Is he Scottish? Hang on a minute. Jerry Sadowitz. He's not Scottish. He's, I think I've got that completely wrong.
Oh, the name rings a bell. Is he a funny-looking bloke?
He's a funny-looking bloke. He looks a bit like Marty Feldman.
Yeah,
Marty Feldman's aggressive brother, yeah. Anyway, he's very good. He's very funny and very gifted.
Yeah, he's gifted.
But I don't think he is actually Scottish. We'll have to Google it. We'll find out.
Yeah, if it was started with...
Why, have you just come back from a magic show?
No, I'm thinking, I mean, that seems to be the thing, one of the things, like, on the to-do list in Vegas.
Ah.
Yeah, magic show.
Right.
But,
well, they've got no end of big shows in Vegas. When are you going?
It's not long now. It's the 27th of October. I'm off to New York, then 4 days after that I'm going to Vegas.
Right. Have you got your visa yet? A long deathly silence.
How did you get on the plane?
Night.
Yeah, you got a lot of work to do, eh? They won't let you in. Sorry about that, mate. I don't know that that's true.
No, when I went, unless it's dramatically changed, when I went 6 years ago, they gave you something to fill in on the plane before you landed.
Right.
I think that got you in.
I'm just trying to, play with your mind, yeah. Anyway, send us a postcard when you get there, all right?
Yeah, well, you can't frighten me anyway. There's only two things that frighten me, nuclear war and carnies.
Well, I'm sure that, you'll find both when you get there.
Okay, I'll let you go on.
Cheers, Aid. Because Las Vegas must be, high on their list of targets. Osama bin Laden. He'd be very upset with Las Vegas. If only he knew it existed, he'd be denouncing that too. Death to Vegas.
Did you see the article in the I think it was in the News of the World today, actually. You know, Osama bin Laden sent out a video.
That's right. And everybody was commenting on that he'd dyed his beard. Well, come to find out, I'm spoiling your little story now, but I'm going to stamp all over it. Come to find out that Osama bin Laden's son, the guy that's been in the newspapers for having married that British woman that's twice his age, despite the fact that either he or she is still married, I can't remember which it was. There's something not quite right with that marriage, but then none of us thought that it would work anyway, right?
Yeah.
Well, we'll give it 6 months, if that. But, come to find out that his son, he is actually his son, right?
Yeah.
Osama bin Laden's son, took one look at the video that's supposedly Osama's latest hot release, that is still probably up there on YouTube, and said, "That's not my dad."
How weird is that?
Yeah. And then they put the two pictures side by side. Initially I thought, yeah, it is, obviously. And then you start to look closer and you think, hey, you know what? That's not the same bloke.
I know that I was kind of, you know, I was like staring at it for ages and ages. And it does look like his eyebrows, if it is him, his eyebrows have been redone.
Yeah.
I don't know, his beard is different. And I know it changed, you know, your beard can change shape when you shave and all that.
But I mean, the guy's been living in a cave for, 10 years now?
Yeah.
He's been persistently on the run. He probably hasn't washed his hands in 5 years, let alone had the chance to go and dye his beard.
And where would he get his hands on some dye?
Exactly. Put someone from Michael John, the same, the same salon that does Gordon Brown, nipped over there to the borders of Pakistan to give him a quick tint.
We see it's all about image these days.
It is, yeah. Well, you've got to keep up your appearances, haven't you? So that's very suspicious that Osama bin Laden's own son doesn't think that video was actually Osama bin Laden himself.
It does make you wonder how they verify the things, doesn't it?
Yeah, you'd think that the FBI would have been all over that. But if Marcel Marceau has died and Osama bin Laden is possibly dead, have you ever seen the two together? Coincidence?
LBC 97.3.
0870 90 90 973.
Nick Abbott.
You getting better?
Mandy has gone.
Mandy?
Well, she was waiting for a very long time.
Oh.
Sorry about that, Mandy. Richmond, hello, Sarah.
Hello.
Sarah.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great, mate.
Lovely to speak to you. I rang in. I'm sorry, but I do apologise. I don't actually know what you're talking about. I've been to see Jenny Eclair.
We've
and
been
I love
talking
LBC,
about
obviously.
the issues. You've been to see Jenny Eclair.
Am I spawning a very interesting sort of intelligent programme?
Not this one, no.
Okay, that's great. Shall I continue? No, all I wanted to do is to ring in and say something about Jenny's show.
Oh, yeah.
Because, I'm Jilly Jamjar, by the way.
You're what?
Jilly Jamjar.
You're
Jilly Jamjar.
Jilly Jam Jar.
Yes.
What does
I'm
that
a
mean?
clown. I'm a silly entertainer. And, I listen to your programme, LBC a lot, and, I adore Jenny Eclair. I was getting ready for my gigs today, and she said, I'm on at Richmond, and I don't know if it would go very well, because they're posh and I'm not. So I texted a friend and said, get tickets tonight. Do it Monday, better, because I'm working today, shattered. And she said, only tonight. I said, book it. We got the last 2 tickets, front row. She was wonderful.
You got the last few tickets on the front row?
Yeah, people didn't want it because it craned your neck. You had to sort of lie at a 45-degree angle and put your neck on the back of the chair. Not the best seat, but nice to be quite close. 10 rows back would have been better. But she's fantastic, and you could see, I think she's a little bit nervous, and she said, I'm sorry, and she said, I'm sorry, it wasn't perfect, and it was like, and she left us some cold chips on the stage.
Oh, nice.
Which, yeah, it would have been better hot. So I wrote a little note to say she was wonderful on the chip packet.
You sound a lot like Jenny Eclair.
Is it? No,
In fact, I'm getting suspicious.
I'm overcome because she's actually the funniest woman on radio, and if I'm even vaguely like her, well, Nick, you've made my night. I'll go to bed a happy woman. Right. She's so funny, and she's really, it's hard to remember a script, isn't it? A stand-up script, an hour. She did an hour and 20 minutes, and she was amazing. So I wanted to ring in and say, love LBC, love you, love quite a few of you actually, and her show was fabulous, and everyone's got to book.
All right, thanks a lot, Jilly Jam Jar.
My pleasure.
Did I get that right?
Yes, thank you very much. I hope you don't mind, but I just want to tell everyone because it's a good thing to go and see Jenny.
All right, cheers, my dear. Ta-da.
Cheers, bye.
That sounded like Jenny Eclair, didn't it? Was that Jenny Eclair?
No, that is another caller.
Right. But she sounded so much like her.
Well, people can sound alike.
Same energy level.
Yes, yes.
It's like Osama bin Laden, he's got...
Maybe it's that diet of cold chips. What's the same as Osama bin... Jenny Eclair and Osama bin Laden do not sit well in the same sentence.
No. Well, if people can sound alike that, people can obviously look alike, can't they? I'm not saying Jenny Eclair and Osama bin Laden
look alike.
No.
Yeah, what are you saying?
I'm saying, look, Osama bin Laden's,
I'm outraged on her behalf.
May have this lookalike that's doing these videos for him.
That looks like Jenny Eclair.
No! You're getting me into trouble now.
I don't think you need any help from me.
Oh. Well, anyway, what I was going to say about that, Osama bin Laden, possibly having...
clear it up,
possibly having this other,
doppelganger.
Yes, doing his video for him.
Right.
Then... is it possible that
he's dead?
No, other world leaders have stand-ins.
Well, Churchill did famously.
Yeah.
When he was too drunk to give his own speech.
But
isn't that incredible?
Does it still go on? Do you reckon now?
Well, maybe crazy Russian Premier Vlad the Insaner had a top male Modu stand in for him when he did his shirt-off scene.
Oh, that's a good one.
Although if he did, I would have, if I were him, I would have picked somebody a little better toned.
Do you think?
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, if he was trying to project an image of muscular solidity, the wobbly man boobs didn't really do it for him.
But it's hard to find toned men with receding hair, isn't it?
Not in this building.
No, just the... Oh, never mind. Here is Northwood. Hello, Warren.
Oh, hello, it's Chocolate Eclair here. That wasn't me just now, by the way.
Wasn't you just now when?
No, just now. It wasn't Mrs. Eclair. It's Chocolate here. Just phoning you to inform you it wasn't me on the air just now, but it is me here now.
All right, well, so that's clear. Thanks a lot, mate. It's getting stranger and stranger.
As we reach the early hours of the morning.
Yeah, that's right. So, Alan Yentob was the other thing that was all over the papers today, because the BBC has been getting it in the neck because they lied about naming the Blue Peter cat.
Yeah.
Can we have a vote on that?
Vote on what?
Naming of the Blue
Oh, I see. Oh, right. That's like comedy, is it? A little bit of humour. Yes, so they fired people for misleading the Blue Peter audience.
Yeah.
That they were actually voting for the name of the cat and then they chose something else. Because I think that the name that the Blue Peter audience chose is also a slang for a drug in America. Well, now, why a 7-year-old would know the American street term for crystal meth? I mean, that's just ridiculous, isn't it?
It is, but, you know, it's sensitive times, isn't it?
Yeah. They're too sensitive, really. I mean, honestly, television has been lying to us since television began.
Yeah.
Like, take Blue Peter, for instance. You remember they had this dog? It wasn't Shep, it was some other dog. Or maybe it was Shep. The dog died.
Yeah.
And so they replaced it with another dog that looked exactly like it and pretended it was the same dog. Do you remember that?
Well, not personally, but I'm aware of the situation.
Yeah, and if that had happened now, well, the scandal would be so great they'd actually have to shut the BBC down. They'd just close the door and lock it up and leave.
But, well, that's the thing, it's all to do with just sensitive times, you know, and back then, you know, they weren't at the height of, you know, all this, you know, media spotlight and scandal.
Well, we've
and all
actually
that,
lost our minds, and the part of the media that's whipping all of this up is the press, of course, who lie to us on a daily basis about almost everything. And yet they've assumed the halo and climbed to the higher ground, and are pronouncing about television is lying to us. Well, not really. I mean, not about the important stuff. They're not. So they named a cat on Blue Peter something other than what it actually was. Big deal.
But I think that was to do, wasn't it, because it was actual, like a phoning competition,
vote,
and that's the misleading part. And but you know, that's fair enough. If you are like, you know, misleading viewers and you know, not like, you know, asking them for money, that's fair enough. But if it was just a little innocent thing, they said, you know.
But it's one rule for the little people, and it's another for management. At least this is how the story is being told about Alan Yentob. A senior BBC executive was under pressure to quit. That's never going to happen. After being criticised by some of the corporation's biggest names. Demands for Alan Yentob, the creative director, to resign came after it emerged that footage of him had been inserted into programmes to give the false impression that he had conducted interviews actually carried out by junior staff members. He's got this programme, which is purportedly about artists in the public eye.
Right.
But having seen a few of them, seemed to me this is actually about Alan Yentob.
Okay.
Chatting to his mates or people he would like to become closely associated with.
Yeah.
The BBC bowed to pressure yesterday and admitted that Mr. Yentob's behaviour was unacceptable. It said that is that woman still about, by the way? I think she's gone to America, you know, the naughty step woman. I think she's made millions and millions and millions.
Super nanny.
Yeah, just by pointing her finger in kids' faces and telling them they're naughty.
But
I could do that.
It's the same principle every single week.
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, apparently it works. For her, anyway. she's made a fortune. America has taken her to their heart.
That's the thing. It seems like all you need to do is specialise in one subject. It doesn't matter what it is, and go on TV with it.
Yes. You're right.
You know, there's that woman who trains dogs, naughty dogs.
Right. The Sit woman. She's dead now, isn't she?
No.
Her, Marcel Marceau, and Osama bin Laden.
No.
You've never seen any of them together at the same time, have you? Very suspicious. Anyway, the BBC bad pressure yesterday admitted that Alan Yentop's behaviour was unacceptable. It said that the practice would not be allowed to continue. This is that the programme looked like he was interviewing top celebs.
Right.
But he actually was nowhere near. He didn't do the interview at all. Somebody else did the interview, and then the cameraman just came and said, can we do what they call a noddy shot? They should call it something else, because it makes you sound ridiculous. And so they just photographed him nodding and smiling. He'll be going, really, really, really. And he's just doing it to nothing. And they'd insert the clip of him nodding and smiling and looking thoughtful into an interview that somebody else had done to make it look as though he was having a chat with, with whoever it might be.
Well,
thereby misleading the public.
I don't see anything wrong with that.
No, well, not really. Me either.
That's just
like,
that's
big
just
deal.
That's just editing.
Yes, it's the wonder of television. They're lying to us all the time. If you really want to get finicky about it, but really, who cares?
That's not.
I mean, all of those noddy shots are fake because nobody ever goes out and interviews someone with two cameras. They'd always do it with one because it's too expensive. And so, if anybody is interviewing somebody, and this happens on the news, every bulletin, I bet they've stopped it now, but, and I kind of wondered why they bothered to do it. It's just, it's an ego thing for whoever's doing the interview, right? They want to get FaceTime on camera.
Oh, yeah.
It is an ego thing. And, I guess it's kind of irritating if you think about it, because they're just pouring their ego, all over our faces.
Look at me, look at me.
Exactly.
But, you know...
Yeah, kind of childish, really. Look at me, look at me, look at me. It's me, me, me. And I go back to absolutely fabulous. I'm sorry if this sounds selfish, darling, but it's me, me, me. Yeah. So that's what this is all about. And they want his head. Actually, I'm sure that they want his head for other reasons. It's just that this is the stick that they're going to beat him with.
I don't ever see that solves problems, though. You know, that the head boss, the managing director,
well,
or whatever...
it makes the press feel happy because they're circling like sharks, and if they can get a kill, well, it'll satisfy them. Like eating Chinese food, it'll satisfy them for half an hour, and then they'll want another one.
Okay, say a company has messed up, don't just get rid of the managing director on, one muff-up, because, surely he should stay there and sort it out.
Well, yes, but if that's the case, then the same should be said for the little people. But they fired a slew of little people for misleading people in just the same way. Staff contacted by the Sunday Telegraph, because this is where the piece is from, but a lot of the papers had it, including some of the BBC's best-known names, said Mr Yentop's extraordinary behaviour should be the subject of disciplinary action. Well, it's not that extraordinary, really, so it kind of gives you the impression that they don't like him very much. The Alan Yentop business is the most serious allegation, said one senior broadcaster, who asked not to be named. Yeah, I bet he did. Another said he is guilty of deception and should be for the high jump, like all the others. And that's the key here, like all the others. If they hadn't fired anybody else, then people wouldn't be gunning for his scalp. A third broadcaster said if he's done this, he should retire. Last night, Luke Crawley, the Assistant General Secretary of the Broadcasting Union, Bectu, called on the corporation to take action against Mr Yentop, said it appears that the BBC is treating one of its most senior members of staff differently, even though he has engaged in activity that has deceived the viewing public. Alan Yentop should be subject to the disciplinary process, just like everyone else, and that's the key. Is you can't fire some people for doing something wrong if you're not going to apply the same standards to someone who happens to be the boss's mate. I think that's where this is coming from.
Maybe.
Broadcasters used to be among the most trusted people in the country, said Conservative culture spokesman Jeremy Hunt. Yeah, that's only because we didn't know what they were getting up to. And now the spotlight has been swiveled on what happens behind the camera, and we're all pretending to be shocked and outraged. But really, yeah, I mean, are we really that upset that when you see someone nodding in an interview that it's not actually happening at that time? Because, like I said, the news reporters will be out there interviewing somebody, and then they'll always cut back. They call it a noddy shot because they're always nodding. They'll cut back to the interviewer, who will be nodding thoughtfully, but that doesn't happen at that time because you've only got one camera. So the camera's pointing at the interviewee.
Yeah.
And then after the interviewee leaves, they have a cup of tea and a fag, and then they'll say, right, I'll do the noddy shots now, and then they point the camera at the interviewer, who's nodding at nothing. There's no one there.
Looking a bit silly.
I mean, next we'll be saying, well, Jurassic Park, it's outrageous. They didn't have actual dinosaurs there, they were acting to a blue screen. Some in the industry defended Mr. Yentob. One senior figure in broadcasting said Alan Yentob is guilty of self-regard and foolish vanity. This is him defending him. With friends like these, you don't need enemies. He said, but I don't think he's alone in that respect, in the respect of being guilty of self-regard and foolish vanity. I simply cannot accept that he is the only person in television to have behaved like this. Yeah, they all do.
Yeah.
And that Blue Peter thing is an interesting case in point. If they had killed off, well, I'm not saying that they didn't kill the dog died of natural circumstances, I'm sure, but then they replaced it and pretended that it was the same dog, presumably so as not to upset the little Blue Peter viewers who would have a relationship, supposedly, with that dog, and would be distraught that it died.
Well, see, I think that's a perfectly all right decision to make. The heads of that program at the time, probably made the right decision. But
well, maybe.
But I'm
sure that also happens to the tortoises as well. I read something somewhere. I was probably one of these scurrilous email magazine things that tortoises ordinarily have a life much like we do.
Sure.
They live to 70, 80 years old, and it claimed. Well, it posed the question, do Blue Peter tortoises die at around between 10 and 20 years old? Why? If that's so, why, they say, implying that they're killing off tortoises to have, perhaps, to wear them as hats or something. I've got really no idea. But it was a scurrilous, it wasn't an accusation, really, it was more of a question, leading you to fill in the gaps.
Yeah.
What somebody who works in the children's department of the BBC told me was that no one he knows who works in the children's department of the BBC actually has children.
What? Really? Not one?
This was the implication of what he was saying, was that he didn't know anyone who works in the children's department that actually had children. Further than that, he said that he thought that they didn't actually like children. They were all childless, unmarried women and gay men.
But surely, how do they know how to relate to children then?
I have absolutely no idea. We'll do some investigating this week. We'll watch the programmes and then we'll report back.
I'm an accident waiting to...
LBC 97.3.
Oh, 0870 90 90 973.
Nick Abbott.
I'll say it again, 0870 90 90 973. Oh, hey, Mandy.
Hi, Nick.
Mandy.
How are you?
I am all right. And I need you today, oh, Mandy.
Thank you, Dad. God, have you ever been to Lincoln?
Have I ever been to Lincoln?
Yeah, Lincoln.
Well, they have a cathedral there, I know that.
I'd like to know where.
In Lincoln.
Oh,
And you know what it's called?
No.
Lincoln Cathedral.
Oh, there's a surprise.
Do you know why it's called Lincoln Cathedral?
Because it's in Lincoln.
That's right. No, I don't think I have.
I've never been anywhere like that in my whole life.
What do you mean?
Just flatness and green and arable.
Yeah.
And brown fields.
I don't like brown.
Brown. A lot of microlights, however, they have.
Well, yeah, flat. It's the terrain for it.
Yeah, yeah.
You'd never get me up in one of
We've got
those.
them here. We have microlights.
Well, there's nowhere to land.
They've got a field here.
Why did you go to Lincoln?
I get my kitten.
A kitten?
Yes, I got her. It's beautiful.
A new one?
No, a second-hand one. Of course. 14 weeks old.
What a mood. A second-hand cat. Well, there are such things.
No, only if you buy them in...
Well, you said you went to get your kitten. I thought that perhaps you'd lost your kitten and it showed up in Lincoln.
No, she's lovely.
Right. Well, go ahead and describe it for us.
She's a tinny, silver... she's not silver, she's golden Persian. She's got gold hair with white, big, huge, saucer, green eyes. She's beautiful.
Is that a Persian? That's a short-haired cat, right?
Yeah, no, the Persians are like this, but they're bigger. I didn't want a Persian, they're too big and fat. These are not as big as Persians.
Yeah, is it long-haired or short-haired?
It's got long hair.
Right.
But they're dainty. They call them fairy cats.
Everything in your entire flat will be covered in cat hair forever.
That's why I'm wearing grey tracksuit.
Yeah, including all of your clothes, yeah.
Grey tracksuit bottom. Oh, I don't care. She's worth it. She's gorgeous.
Oh.
I love her to death.
Already?
Yeah. Yesterday I wasn't so impressed because she was a bit frightened, and I suppose I was a bit unreasonable. I didn't give her the time.
The thing with cats is that you never really know what you're going to get because you buy the cat, and then it could be one of those cats that just doesn't want to know.
Well, this is not a cheap cat, I've got to tell you. And it came from a brilliant breeder.
How much is a cat?
It was £400.
£400?
Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
Is that how much a top-class cat costs?
No. If it would have been a boy, and could have been a stud boy, it could have gone for £1,000.
Good grief.
If she'd have been a bigger one, breeding, they call them a queen, a breeding queen, she could have gone for £1,000.
I wouldn't let it out of the house.
She's not going to get big enough to breed from, thank God. You what?
I think if something cost £1,000, I'd keep it in a case.
Yeah, but she's lovely. Her eyes are to die for.
But that is the problem with cats, is like you're stuck with it, and if it's one of those cats that doesn't really want to know, it doesn't want to, it doesn't want to be stroked, it doesn't want,
Oh, she likes it, she purrs, even when she's being groomed. You have to groom her every morning. I groomed her this morning, and she purred.
What amazes me about cats is the cloud of fur that comes off when you brush them and comb them and so on.
I know.
And 5 minutes later, there's still clouds of fur coming off. Where does it all come from?
And they get messy again.
You're going all goo-goo, Mandy.
She's gorgeous. I only just named her tonight as well.
Oh, right.
I named her Amber.
Amber?
She's a golden. Yeah.
Amber, after the character in Footballers' Wives.
Oh,
Amber.
Don't tell me there's one of those in there, is there?
Yeah, that's,
Oh, she's not going to be Amber anymore.
And I only know that because they filmed it in my old flat. Amber's flat in Footballers' Wives was where I used to live. They brought all the crew around.
Right,
and they filmed her having
your actual flat.
Having a strop in my old flat. Yeah.
You get paid for that, don't you?
£2 a day.
Wow. How'd you get your flat on it? Is it a list?
Yeah, you get them on a list. Yeah. Hey, listen, Mandy, I've got to go because I'm past a break.
Okay.
But I'm super happy that you're enjoying your new cat. All right.
Thank you.
Don't let it out the house.
It's not allowed. It's a house cat.
Well, now that's awful.
Well, they're not. They get stolen.
Well, then you shouldn't have it. Then you should have like a mangy cat that nobody would want.
I don't want a mangy.
It should have a life.
I don't want a tom. What it's called, tomcat.
Well, put a leash on it and drag it around the park every now and again.
Okay.
Cheers, Mandy.
Bye.
Ta-da. LBC. Leave.
LBC 97.3.
0870 90 90 973.
Nick Abbott.
Hey, I could be on the radio. Okay.
You're getting better at that.
I think that's actually a bit cruel to have a cat and not let it out of the house, because Whether a cat has ever been at the house or not is irrelevant, because it's in its little tiny cat brain. It wants to be, tormenting dogs and chasing birds.
Do you know what that's the same as? It's
What?
the same as making your kids become vegetarians before they've tried meat.
Yeah, you should not. Yeah, vegetarians should be a choice that adults do. Don't force it upon them as parents.
Yeah,
yes, quite right.
Let the cat, put its paw outside the door and see if he likes it first. Before.
Well, it could quite possibly be stolen, but there's an excellent reason to go to Battersea Dog's Home and get a cat. I know that doesn't sound like it would be possible, but they do cats as well, don't they?
They chuck one in for free with a dog.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, buy 2 dogs, get 1 cat free. Yeah, or you could get a cat with a free, with a gallon of petrol. I'm sure they're doing that at BP.
On BC 97.3.
0870 90 90 973.
Nick Abbott.
So they opened their big mouths, and out came talk. Talk, talk.
Wow, that was quick. You are the world's quickest tea maker. You did that in about 30 seconds flat. Was that one that you prepared earlier?
Yeah, it's been sitting there for the last 2 hours.
I'll just check it for quality. Very nice.
There you go.
Of course, I have to say that, don't I? Because otherwise you might not make me another one.
Of course, that could be your last one.
Yeah, that's right. Super fantastic, if you don't mind me saying. As is everything you do.
I know. Keep talking.
Let's have a call in Knightsbridge. Hello, Brian.
Hello there.
Brian.
Hi, evening.
How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Very amusing programme. I'm just really not serious at all. I'm just saying the producers of Super Nanny ought to be done for deception, because they always look like Hattie Jakes' younger sister. But I actually sat next to her playing Christmas coming back from... She's actually quite small, I couldn't believe it.
She's,
Just to convince myself it's actually her.
Which part of the plane were you in? I felt that we were going to lose him, and I really wanted to know something more about her. Oh, it's the best calls that just to get cut off. That's very irritating.
But that's the thing.
So he was sitting next to the naughty step woman on a plane. Don't you want to know whether she was in cattle or up the front?
Oh,
because she's gone to America, and Americans, it's a great time to be British and in the media in America. I think Simon Cowell has paved the way over there.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't Simon Cowell, it was his overlord, whatever his name is.
Simon Fuller?
Simon Fuller is exactly the right answer. And so that, now they have the biggest show in American television, which is American Idol.
Yeah.
Not Pop American Idol. Which is amazing, really, because they've given the biggest show in American television to Fox. This, is it a network? Isn't it a network? Because there's 3 major networks in America, like we have BBC One, BBC Two, ITV, Channel 4.
Yeah.
Well, take the BBCs out. And Channel 5.
Right.
That's what we call a network, because it's a channel that can be reached all over the country. Well, in America they had 3, CBS, ABC and NBC. And then Rupert Murdoch came along with all of his money and tried to make there a 4th. I think people were very upset, particularly in the blue chip companies, that he was trying to muscle his way in. Who is this Australian anyway? And it's not a real network. And right enough, just when Sky started in this country, all the programs were rubbish at the beginning, but then they latched onto The Simpsons, which saved their bacon, I would imagine, in much the same way that Mike Oldfield's Tubular Bells saved Richard Branson. Well, not necessarily saved, but at least propelled him to riches.
Superstar.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
now they've given them the biggest show in American television, which is, by definition, the biggest show in the world, which is a little upsetting, really, isn't it? I mean, this rubbish, this is what people really, really want more than anything else.
Do you watch it, though?
I used to, and much as I'm weaning myself off shop-bought coffee.
Yeah.
Because I used to be addicted to that stuff. Every time I went to do a show at the other place,
Rock and roll!
I pass like about 6 or 7 places that are selling coffee, and I had to have one, but otherwise my brain didn't feel on straight. But then I thought, I'm spending £2 on a cup of milk.
Well, that's the thing. I had one this Saturday, and I just thought, this taste is getting boring.
It's rubbish.
And, surely...
Because the shot of coffee itself would not pass muster in France or Italy as coffee. Brown water, yes. Coffee, not so much. And so the basic ingredient is rubbish, and then they just pour milk on top.
And make it a bit frothy.
Yeah. And for that, you get charged £2.
But, surely these, like, coffee shops have got, like, a sell-by date on them, haven't they? Surely...
Well, there doesn't seem to be any abating in worldwide demand for frothy, silly coffee. Tea shops, on the other hand, have never taken off. I mean, of course, the Lion's Corner tea shop. What's sitting there now? There used to be a big chain of them, but just let me see if I can get my compass position right. Just east of Trafalgar Square, there's a triangular block.
Yeah.
I think it's at the other end of South Africa House.
Is it
a triangular block pointing at Charing Cross Station? And I'm sure. In fact, I'm sure that my dad took me there when I was a very, very young lad. The Lion's Corner Tea House, and that would be the corner. I'm sure that was the first one. In fact, I'm not sure. I don't really know. It's a guess. Anyway, how did we get onto that?
Coffee shops.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So they tried it with tea shops, didn't they? Every now and again you read in the newspaper, this is absolutely the very the latest thing, and it's extremely fashionable, and everyone should try it. Tea shops, and it's taken off in much the same way as soup shops have, by which I mean not at all.
I just don't, there's so many of them around now that surely the demand for them can't sustain the number of them.
Well, so far they seem to be doing all right. I mean, the worst of them all, as far as taste is concerned, and I won't name them in case they start advertising with us, in which case I'd have to eat my words and drink their coffee. The worst of them all is doing the best of them all. And I'll say no more. I mean, why anybody would drink or eat there twice is a mystery to me. But some of the better ones, I think that they're putting something in the coffee. I mean, I know that the coffee is a drug and you do get addicted to it, but I think there's something more than that. I mean, for me to really crave a mocha, because that's what I used to drink, because you put chocolate in it, and you can't taste that it's actually a crappy coffee milk drink.
Yeah.
It just tastes of chocolate. Chocolate.
I think the thing that did it for me when it first all started, I mean, I don't know how long have they, this
not that long.
influx of American...
Well, let's say 10 years.
This influx of American coffee shops into the UK.
Yeah.
I think the big thing for me was the fact that it was American, and we weren't going in there necessarily for the coffee, but just for this American atmosphere.
Yes, and to speak this funny language, I'd have a grande latte frappa mocha thingo.
Yeah, it was
please.
kind of a little escape from our miserable lives here.
It was a little bit of razzmatazz and colour.
It's like you've gone on holiday to the States.
But Americans are famously bad at making coffee. Americans can't make coffee.
It's incredible.
Italians are coughing up their espresso at the very idea of it. I'll take this call, you get those. All right. Loughton. Hello, Rebecca.
Hello.
Rebecca.
Gosh, listen, I only tuned in about 10 minutes ago, so I don't actually know what you're all talking about, but I've just listened to that divine conversation about coffee. Yeah, coffee. I don't drink it. I'm a green tea girl.
Green tea? That's supposed to be very good for you.
Well, that
tastes like, just tastes awful, doesn't it?
Well, it did, though. It took about 2 weeks, and then it's fine. And now when I have my green tea, it's a really nice cup of tea. But occasionally I do like the odd cup of coffee.
Yeah.
But to drink coffee every morning, like the office work, the cup of tea or the cup of coffee every day, every evening. It's not good for you. So you shouldn't be doing it.
Well, apparently it is. Well, it depends on which paper you read on which day, because one day they'll say that you absolutely should drink 2 cups of coffee a day because it will cure you of, oh, blimey, I don't know, fill in infectious disease here. It'll cure you of cancer, or it'll stop your brain ossifying, or some such thing. And then the next day they'll say you should really not drink coffee at all, otherwise it'll kill you.
So what do you do?
I know. You just do what you feel is right. I think you should tune your body up to a point when you can hear it. Do you know what I mean by that? And then just do what it tells you.
Well, put it this way. I know that there are people that do drink coffee on a regular basis that get palpitations occasionally.
Yeah.
I don't get those. I don't get those. So I'm assuming on that basis that that's down to a caffeine intake of a regular basis.
That's right. Well, if your heart is starting to beat irregularly because you're drinking too much coffee, that you would have to say is a sign.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, caffeine not good. Anyway, that's not why I called. It's just because I listened to that conversation. Right. What was it about? The lady that loves animals and loves cats.
She just bought a highly expensive cat.
Yeah, of the feline nature, and wants to caress that. And yet, shocking, doesn't let it outside.
Yeah.
Not good. Not good.
Well, no. I mean, I know people who've got dogs like that, which you'd say is perhaps... well, it's not worse, really, is it? I mean, a cat wants to... It's the natural instinct of a cat, even if it has never seen outside, wants to go outside.
Yeah, exactly. It's not even... I don't want to upset the lady, and I don't want to...
No, me either. I mean, I like her a lot, but...
seriously, if you ask the RSPCA if that was a good environment for that animal to be kept in under those circumstances, they would turn around and say no.
No, but then you could also argue that keeping a pet at all is not good for it, because, you know, dogs are basically wild creatures, and
I've never owned a dog. I've
goldfish want to swim in a river.
No, and I've got a stray cat that comes to visit me, and I leave it food and blah blah blah. But you can't have a cat. It's the same with dogs. You cannot have a cat without letting it outside, because that's just cruel.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah.
Without taking it for walks, because that's also cruel. So bless the lady. She sounded a lot more sophisticated than me. Obviously spent a lot of money on her animal, but I'm afraid to say it.
Gotta let it out.
She's a wrong un. It's wrong. It's cruel and it's wrong. And if the RSPCA were to visit her home today, they would say you...
Oh, I don't think the RSPCA would get involved if people have an indoor cat.
If they did, they would say you are not treating this animal correctly.
Right. Okay. Thanks, Rebecca.
Okay.
Cheers, my dear.
All
Ta-ra.
right. Bye-bye.
Yeah. No, see, if I was a cat, I'd want to go outside. I'd want to go and catch mice and do all my little cat things. Go and, you know, associate with other cats. And, you know, just sit under somebody's window and go, like that, all night long. Chase foxes, you know, all of that stuff.
But
it's in its little cat mind. That's what it wants to do. Even if it doesn't know what it is, it has a yearning, a yearning deep down inside to go out and, you know, mingle with nature, chew grass and cough up hair and all those other cat things it does.
That's what it was built for.
Eat moths, you know.
And poo in other people's gardens.
Yeah, but then carefully covering it up in a cat manner.
Yeah, they are clever like that.
Yeah. As opposed to dogs, who just leave it there and saunter off.
But, you know, that's what they're built to do, and, you know, just let them get on with it.
I don't know what you mean by that. Who get on with what?
The cats get on with
doing
their
cat business.
Yeah, outside.
Yeah, their cat business. Yes, exactly right. Make sure that the cat does its business outside, or at least in the tray.
LBC 97.3.
0870 90 90 973.
Nick Abbott.
Hey, I should get a job on the radio, me.
Yeah.
Here is, it's this chap who met the super nanny woman, Brian. Hey, Brian.
Hello, Nick. Sorry about that.
That's all right.
Down the Grand Car Park, unthinkingly. I'll tell you what, I couldn't start the without my Brazilian palpitation blend. I don't know about you.
Well, I'm weaning myself off it, and you know what? It's relatively easy. All you need is a cup of milk, followed by an instant coffee. And the difference between instant coffee and the muck they serve in these shops is precious little. In fact, I've been getting quite a hit off the instant coffee.
Yeah, so it's, I did hear once the famous of the chains of coffee shops described as serving up not quite coffee.
Yeah.
I thought was quite succinct, but then we still all queue up and pay for it.
I know, yeah, like mugs.
Yes, exactly, in mugs. Super Nanny.
Yeah, so you sat next to Super Nanny on a plane.
Yeah, I didn't meet her. I just listened to it. One of the, it was someone else's conversation with her that made me realise who the hell it was. But she's quite sort of petite. I was quite amazed.
Was she wearing her comedy serious glasses?
No, not at all. That's probably why I didn't recognise her. And she had her hair down rather than, pulled back in a sort of 9/8 way.
So all of that matron school mom look, that's just for the cameras.
Oh yeah, but it is wonderfully done. I mean, yeah, it's well done. It's a fine piece of deception.
Yes.
Because I just absolutely didn't realise who she was until I sort of figured out this conversation she was having with the person on the other side.
Well, which part of the plane was she in?
Just behind the cockpit.
First.
Yeah.
Right. Well, that's what you would expect, because she's made so much money in America. She's made all the money that Bill Gates doesn't own. I think she's done fantastically well.
I think she'd only just started to go over there then. She'd only just started to go over there, but I was I had somebody much more interesting on the other side. I had Sammy Davis Jr.'s widow, Alto Davis, on the other side. She's a lovely person.
The people you meet in first, we can only dream of meeting people in first, can't we, Chris?
Yeah.
She's wonderful. She was she's actually starred in Blithe Spirit on Broadway with Noel Coward in the actual original version.
Huh.
She's that old. She's a wonderful and lovely lady.
Well, the tales, you could tell. If only you had a good phone to tell them on, we'd be able to hear every word.
I've got a wonderful phone. I just keep going into underground car parks.
Right. Well, that's
another story.
That's your first mistake. All right. Well, listen, thanks for the news, Brian.
Thank you.
Cheers, mate. Ta-da.
Bye.
Yeah, we can only dream of that, can't we, Chris? We can pull the curtains by and just take a little peek before the stewardess comes and closes them smartly on our face.
If we start saving now, then, maybe...
Then we'll still never be able to afford it. Yeah, you're right. Electric Parade. Oh, Tallulah.
Hello, you.
Hey, you.
Hey. Well, I do drink never coffee outside.
You what?
I only do it at home. Perfectly made the German way with a filter, the real coffee. One coffee a day. Yes, it buzzes.
Yeah.
Big time.
It does.
It does.
But not like the coffee that I had in Italy. I've never had coffee like I had in Italy, and I know it's a bit of a cliche, but everywhere you go, you can get the world's best ice cream from the least likely looking source. I mean, a guy with the ice cream on the back of his bicycle, it can still be the best ice cream you've ever tasted in your life if it's bought in Italy. And a shack in the middle of a park that sells sweets, that also sells coffee, will give you the best coffee you've ever had. And you drink and it's espresso. It's always espresso there, unless they're having breakfast. And you drink an espresso in Italy, and you really know you've had drugs. It's like your eyes start looking in two different directions, and you have to. I could run the marathon in record time.
You know what it does to me when I have my coffee?
I hesitate to ask.
Oh, I'll just ask.
Hey, Tallulah, what does it do to you when you have a coffee?
Well, first of all, I have a real good buzz, and then I just don't want to eat for another 2 hours, which is perfect to let the coffee settle in my system. But altogether, I feel just happy, and I don't want anything. This is the normal drug of the caffeine, but it is just absolutely brilliant.
Yowza.
But yowza you. Can I say funny that you just said ice cream, because I've just come back from San Francisco, and there was a funny little shop, and everybody went to the ice cream bar, and it looked very uninviting, and I thought, man, it must be very special. I ordered an ice cream, Oh my God, was that groovy?
Was it down by Fisherman's Wharf?
No, it was actually in the middle, in Market Street.
Right.
You know, right in the center near the PowerPoint.
So you just went to America. Tell us what getting in and out through immigration was like.
Oh, easy.
Really?
Especially one of the guys when I came in. I don't know what he asked me, but I told him where I'm coming from, and he said, "Wow."
What, London?
Anyway, well, no, but it was easy. It was easy and absolute cool, no problem at all.
Because I've been slightly put off going to America. Of course, it's an excellent time to go to the States because the dollar is $2 to the pound. They're virtually giving stuff away over there. It'll be so cheap. But just the nightmare stories that you hear, the people that have experienced, you know, aggressiveness, rudeness, being locked in a room for hours on end because your name has got the same initials as some terrorist they once arrested, and but you didn't get any of that.
No, the only odd bit is that you have to take your shoes off, put them in a tray, your jacket off, the liquids off. But I even left some liquids in my bag because I thought, you know, it's all harmless. Peach soap and whatever, and not big deal at all. It was absolutely smooth.
Well, we got that. We got that 8-foot nut job with the exploding shoes to thank for that, don't we?
I know. But you know what San Francisco talking about?
Pop Idol.
No, about London all the time because there's something very special in London happening soon. And you know what?
Okay, let me guess. Let me guess. There's something special happening in London soon that San Francisco...
Only in London.
Only in London. Ooh, now I'm intrigued. There's something special happening only in London that San Francisco would be talking about.
Yeah.
Rock and roll.
Oh, it's the Led Zeppelin reunion.
Ah, you got it. I've given you a big giveaway there.
Yeah, I would never have got it, actually, unless you'd given me the big clue. Yeah, well, you know what?
What?
What I heard, and this is hasn't been confirmed in any way.
Shall I tell you?
Don't take my word for it.
Shall I tell you? Because they said exactly the same.
What?
There's a rumor for the second one.
Well, I think that it's going to. They said we'll reform, and if it goes well. Now, I preface this with "they said that." Cut that from that sentence. Here's what I think. That they thought, we'll do it, and if it goes well, we'll do a tour. 2 million people wanted tickets for this one show. I think it's gone well. Before they've even set foot on stage, I think that they're going to do a tour.
I think so.
Like a massive worldwide tour.
They would have to be taken away with the man with the white jacket if they didn't.
Exactly, yes.
Exactly.
I mean, they probably don't need the money. I mean, the rock radio plays virtually wall-to-wall Led Zeppelin. I know I do. Or every rock station in the States, it's either, if it's not Led Zeppelin, it's Pink Floyd, the Beatles or the Rolling Stones. That's about your 4 bands right there. You play them over and over, you've got a radio station. And so they're not short of cash, but when somebody says, yeah, you've got £50 million in the bank, here's 100 million. I mean, you're not going to say no, really, are you? Because there's always a bigger house and a bigger boat and... yeah, they'll do it. So if you don't get your tickets, your £125 tickets for the show that's coming up in November, then don't panic because there will be opportunities to spend £1,000 on a pair on eBay for the subsequent shows, I'm sure. You going to go? You going to go?
Well, if there's an additional one, yeah.
Right.
But, do you know what else?
No.
I've been on the San Francisco radio as a guest.
Right. So you've been on San Francisco radio. Hey!
Well, the Bone, because they asked me actually a question about me talking about the Bone on the London radio, and when I'm on the American radio, I'm talking about the London radio. Is that funny?
Well, I'm sure a lot of people have got no idea what you're talking about. Let me just explain that the Bone is actually a radio station in San Francisco.
Yes, and it's on my site, MySpace, ShenkaSister.com. It's on YouTube.
Right.
And I put it down on MySpace where, well, there I am. Ba, ba, ba.
Groovy, baby.
Groovy.
All right. I saw a video on YouTube of your brother, who seemed to be
Oh, my God.
drunk at the time.
Oh, my God.
But the least said about that, the better, eh?
Oh, my God. Yes.
Very upset about that.
Wait,
Yeah.
what do the Americans say? Oh, my God! Or
Yes.
something like this, yes.
Anyway, I didn't get a postcard. That must have been an oversight on your part.
You know, I wanted to actually call. I got as far as getting my own American mobile, but you cannot call overseas.
Right.
So I actually tried to call the radio station, your show or Clive's show, and it was not possible. I have my own American mobile now, which is my own mobile number, but I didn't get it as far as getting to...
Right. Well, it's the thought that counts. Listen, I'm coming up to a break, but thanks a lot, Tallulah, all right?
Cool.
Cheers, my dear. Stay groovy.
LBC 97.3.
Oh, 0870 9090973.
Nick Abbott.
It's a good idea to get someone else's opinion.
Estelle.
Hello, Nick.
Hello, Estelle.
You mentioned the word Mason Lyons.
Lions Corner Tea House.
Lyons Corner House.
Yeah.
Well, I was reared on that place. As a child, we would go to either Trafalgar Square, Tottenham Court Road, or the favourite being Marble Arch.
Now, am I right in thinking that the first one was the one that points at Charing Cross railway station?
Trafalgar Square.
Yeah.
And the Americans, when they came over in the wartime, called it, I think, Maryland. It was just paradise for them coming over here. Those that were in the,
Why did they call it Maryland? Why Maryland?
I don't know, but they called it some magic words. It was magic to them, that place. It was a little bit of, in austerity years, luxury. As you went in, the marble stairs and the chandeliers and the mirrors going up the stairs, the ladies' toilets were walnut. But as you came in through the doors of Marble Arch, roses would be on the left side, the concierge would be outside, but you'd smell the gorgeous delicatessen, and then the chocolates, the handmade chocolates were on the left side, and all those aromas went through your nose before you even got into the actual dining area.
Was any of it any good, though, really? Because we're not well known for our chocolates and patisseries, are we?
Well, they were excellent at patisserie, especially their fish slice, which would be cod on wafer flaky pastry, muddled by that with black olives and anchovy on top. I think it was about 1 and 6 a slice.
So, right, but that's not what I was... Like, I was thinking patisserie, cream and chocolate, and then you said fish. I thought, ooh.
Well, that was the deli part, but
Right.
the cakes were delicious. It was Lion's cakes, and they did wonderful fruit cakes and Dundees. But if it was your birthday and you went into the main dining area, there was a concert orchestra there, and you just had to say your name, the parents say your name. You stood up, and the whole concert would play your... Sidney Simone was the conductor, played your happy birthday to you.
Like that?
Yes.
Well, it sounds like a beautiful thing, Estelle.
And the nippies would come round.
Who?
The nippies.
What's that?
With the white aprons over the black uniform and little white hats. And they would come quick and sharp to you, serve you quickly and very well mannered.
Oh, hence Nippy.
Oh, that was the name of it.
They were nippy.
Brasserie,
Right.
where the music played.
Well, it sounds a delight. Memories, what memories,
I
eh?
remember about the place. It was wonderful.
Yeah. Okay, well, we'll always have our memories.
Yes.
I won't, but you will. Thanks a lot, Estelle.
Okay.
Here is Berkshire. Hello, Stuart.
Hello there, how you doing?
All right, thanks.
Good. I was just, basically, I caught the end of your conversation about the woman who is not letting her cat out.
Yeah.
And I just think it's ridiculous. It's like these wags and these Paris Hilton types who basically just carry dogs around.
Yeah, well, those are... Yeah, I have a problem with comedy yapping dogs, mostly because of the yapping. I just can't
Indeed,
stand it.
Well, I just think we're actually messing with evolution when it comes down to it. The next form of evolution for these poor dogs is going to be... They're going to be like furry slugs with dog heads.
Oh, nice. I'll look forward to having a couple of those.
But it just seems like, you know, we've done a fair bit of messing around with evolution, I'm sure, in our tenure on this world, but this seems like a ridiculous way of doing it.
Well, every kind of pet that we have, in fact, every kind of animal that we've tamed is, we've messed around with this evolution in some way or other to make it more pleasing to us, or more docile, or whatever it might be, or produce more milk, or whatever it is.
Well, indeed, but when it comes down to what these people are actually doing, I mean, it seems like if you're not going to let an animal do what it does naturally, it doesn't seem like you're doing a huge disservice.
Right. Okay. I'm sure she's sitting at home fuming. Thanks a lot, Stuart.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah. But then, if we allowed animals just to do their animal thing, then they wouldn't be pets anymore. They'd be wild animals, and we wouldn't allow them to be inside because they'd chew the furniture and
we'd have bite marks on us.
Leave deposits all over the place. It'd be like being over at Ozzy Osbourne's place.
Well, they'd be attacking us all the time, wouldn't they? Because we'd be the enemy to them, wouldn't we? Because they would fear us.
Well, I'm sure that they think that we are the underling in the social group. That they are top dog, so to speak, because every time they want something, we get it. Bark, 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 I want a walk, and we'll leap straight to it. Meow, 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 I want some food. And if we haven't got any right now, then we'll rush to the supermarket in order to meet their every meow demand.
Do you think? Well, so they think?
So they
must
think
the lesser of the species.
Yeah, they must think that they are controlling us, which is true, really, in a lot of cases.
Probably.
Let's have Woking. Oh, Joyce.
Hello, Nick.
Joyce.
I just caught the conversation about the Lions Corner house.
Oh, yeah.
There were several. There was one at the end of Tottenham Court Road, the junction with Oxford Street. And there was another one in Piccadilly.
That's a very insalubrious area right now, isn't it? They're going to have to fix that up. They've been saying they're going to do something about that area forever. And still looks like that.
I haven't been there for yonks, but when I was 4, before the war, my mother wrote to the head office of Cadby's Lions Corner house and sent the measurements of me, and they made a uniform. Waitress's uniform for me for a fancy dress party.
Really? Well, that's what I'd call service.
And it was fantastic, and I won first prize at the fancy dress thing.
Well, now, Joyce, could you really accept that prize?
Yes, of course. I still have a photograph, of me in this uniform, and with the little tray and bill book and everything they sent.
But you had professional help, Joyce. Really, deep down, do you not feel ashamed?
Not at all. I didn't then, anyway. And so my mother returned the uniform to them, and they sent me a big tin of toffees as well. So that's why I've no teeth now.
Well, I would consider getting professional legal help, Joyce. You might have a case.
But it's a lovely memory, actually. We used to go quite often. And after the war, they started making what were called hamburgers, and they had wimpy bars.
Well, I remember wimpy bars right now. Yeah. That used to be a weekly treat. We used to have a Coke float, which was a dollop of ice cream in a glass of Coke, which sounds repellent now, thinking about it. And
how old were you then?
Oh, I don't know, 10.
Well, you'd enjoyed it then, wouldn't you?
Well, I enjoyed it then, because, at the age of 10, there is no amount of sugar that exists in the world that would be sufficient to, satisfy your cravings. But then we used to order the food from the pictures on the walls. And I particularly liked the one with the sauce, I guess it wasn't a sausage, it was the Frankfurter that they bent around a tomato.
Yeah,
that's the only thing I can remember from that meal.
And there was another restaurant within the complex of the corner houses that had a sort of fried meal cooked on a skillet. Each person had their individual skillet on which it had been cooked.
Right.
Which was very naughty as well, of course. Not very good for the cholesterol.
No. But then that's what we used to eat before we knew any better.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And now we're all on porridge and grapefruit slices.
Yes. And you still don't make yours in the microwave?
No, I don't. No. And you know what? I eat my fruit and my vegetables, and I go and exercise, and I drink a lot of water, and eat lean meat and fish and all of that stuff. And you know what, Joyce? I'll still die.
Don't we all in the end?
Yes. Nothing we can do about it.
Not at all.
So might as well sit back, have a double espresso and a fag, eh?
No. I don't agree with fags. I was a radiographer.
Right, well then you wouldn't. But, you know, I read on a daily basis that they're going to cure this and they're going to cure that. They've got a cancer cure here. I've got this, I've been carrying this around for a little while. They're not only going to cure cancer, but they're going to cure aging as well. This is the cancer thing. Cancer sufferers could be cured with injections of immune cells from other people within... Now, usually these things are within 10 years or 20 years or sometime in the future, we've got no idea. This says within 2 years. They might cure all cancer...
Even for me.
Yeah, exactly. They might cure all cancer with an infusion of super-strength cancer-fighting cells that they get from other people who are immune. Because certain people don't get cancer. Their bodies fight it off. So those poor people are going to be strapped down, and their inner juices are going to be pulled out through a syringe, and they're going to be squirted into someone who's not feeling very well, and thereby they will live forever.
Well,
within 2 years, can you believe it?
I don't think I'd want to live forever.
Well, it depends, Joyce. I mean, would you like to live forever with how you looked at 18?
I don't think it's a matter of how you look. I think it's a matter of how you feel inside.
Right.
And about your relationships that are going on or not.
Yeah, well, that's true as well.
Yeah.
How about if, because if you lived forever, then everyone you had ever loved, you'd see them get old and die. That's the curse, isn't it?
They were living forever too.
Yeah, okay. Well, let's be positive and inclusive.
Well,
everyone gets to live forever from now on.
Hmm?
It's just that we'll be living in ever smaller places.
That's true. Yes.
All right.
Enough room for everybody.
No.
No, I feel a bit guilty taking up space now. But I'm enjoying my life. I get out and about as much as I can.
Well, just don't take up too much space, Joyce.
Nice talking to you.
Thanks a lot. Ta-da.
Bye.
Yeah, this thing I found quite amazing, really, because usually when they come up with, oh, yeah, we're going to cure heart disease, or we're going to cure blindness, or we're going to cure this, that, and the other, and all of these things that you think that you're going to eventually get, they say right at the end, and this may be available in 50 years' time, or there's usually at the minimum of 10 years. And you think, oh, that's great, I'll be dead by then.
Why don't they just save the article for 50 years' time, then?
Right.
You know?
Because, well, the reason is because they find a break. They discover what they think is a breakthrough. They report it in the medical press.
Right.
And the ordinary press, which gets all these medical journals, scanning through them for some exciting story, they read it, but they don't understand it.
No.
And so they take the headline and misconstrue what they're actually saying, and then they start to give us all hope that what ails us will be cured within the hour.
Yeah.
And it never is. In much the same way as when I was a kid at school, they were saying that the energy stored in the corner of a piece of paper will, if harnessed, power a town for days.
How?
Well, exactly. But if you, I mean, if you can split an atom and cause an atomic explosion, then how many atoms are in a corner of a piece of paper? I'll tell you, 8. Depending on how big the corner of the piece of paper is.
Of course.
I don't know, but they've just said that recently, haven't they? The very same thing again, cold fusion. It'll be the answer to all of our power needs from now on.
They just don't know how to...
But they said that 30 years ago.
But they just don't know how to work it, though.
No, exactly right.
Yeah.
But this thing is, it's extraordinary. They've actually stuck their neck out and said cancer sufferers could be cured with injections of immune cells from other people within 2 years. I mean, that's readily verifiable because people will remember it within 2 years. If they said within 20 years, people would have forgotten by then.
Are they saying within 2 years of 2050?
No, within 2 years of right now. It was in the New Scientist, apparently. And you do think that, hey, you know what? Maybe I'll start smoking. I'll start smoking now, so that I'll be a prime candidate in 2 years' time.
Well...
Oh, why not? Enjoy yourself.
Because...
on that topic, by the way, we've got the big quit starting next week to help you to quit. Don't start, quit. Don't be counting on the people who've written stuff that's been picked up by the major papers in the New Scientist, because the major papers don't know what they're talking about.
So you never know.
Yeah, they read these medical articles, and they leap to the wrong conclusion. Meanwhile, people in white coats are waving their arms saying, no, we didn't say that. But anyway, next week we've got the big quit, helping you to give up smoking. We'll be giving you tips to help you quit all week long. And not only that, but we will be offering you the chance to win a whole host of prizes, including an MP3 player, a luxury night out in London, a day of complete pampering, or a weekend away to a great European city. That's next week, the big quit, and London's LBC 97.3, supporting you in your quest for a smoke-free life.
Would you want to live forever then, do you think, or not? If you had the choice?
Well, I would have to put conditions on that.
Yeah.
I would have to,
be a millionaire?
Well, yeah, that would help, yeah. Or I'd have to start saving 100 years ago.
Right. But even if you started saving 100 years ago, that wouldn't be enough to live forever, would it?
I don't know, it depends how much you started saving.
But surely, however much you start saving...
If you could be in rude health, and everyone that you cared about could also be, healthy, wealthy, young and beautiful...
Yeah.
Then, it might be entertaining. It depends what happens. I mean, if Syria get their hands on some stray Russian nuclear weapons, which are all lying around in sheds in people's back gardens, I'm sure, then perhaps it won't be that great to live forever. Might be a curse. Because you'll be wandering around eating cockroaches for a living. They being the only things that would survive.
Yeah, but
if however it was just one long holiday, then yeah, sure, why not? I mean, if you were just visiting art galleries and tourist attractions for the rest of your life, that's just laughing from now until forever because you had so much cash and so much money you didn't know what to spend it on. And we're just, out there amusing yourself, then yeah, why not?
But even if you were healthy and wealthy, right, and, you had the choice to live forever, surely you would get bored, wouldn't you, at some point?
No, I'm not one of those people that needs to be out there doing things all the time, really. I can just sit home and, I'm like a cat. I can stare at the wall for hours on end.
Could you? What, and just with your
Well, as long
thoughts?
as there's a TV nailed to it.
Oh, yeah, of course. Massive...
Yeah, I don't feel compelled to go out and, achieve things. I know that a lot of people are, and those are the people that are successful. I'm not one of those people.
I've got houses made of money.
Yeah, but the problem with those people is they might have, no end of cash, but they're not actually happy because the need to strive is always with them. And so they spend their whole life striving for a goal.
Chasing it.
Without actually pausing to smell the roses. I do nothing but smell roses, metaphorically.
Yes.
That's what I do all the time, and I completely forget the goal of which basically money is
a necessity.
Yeah, well, I suppose it's a necessity up to a certain point. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you can't do anything about it, can you?
No, I'd much rather just wander through doing nothing at all. And a lot of people can't stand that. They can't stand doing nothing. But I'm not like that at all. I much prefer doing nothing.
Some people...
Nothing is my favourite thing to do.
People say, oh yeah, I have to work, I have to go to work.
No, I'm not one of those at all. No. I'd much rather, wander around an amusement arcade or a gallery
or your flat.
Yeah, exactly. Just stare out the window. You know what the most popular visitor attraction in this country is?
Let me guess. I'm gonna go for in the country or London.
In the country. Well, this is this is at the back of a story about which Tate gallery is the most popular.
Oh.
Which Tate gallery do you think is the most popular? Because there used to be one, and they sat ill. They didn't sit very comfortably side by side. It used to be old British art on the left, and then modern art on the right as you went in.
Yeah.
And right enough, they had about enough quality stuff hanging on the walls to fit in one relatively small institution. Now they've got two giant institutions. They don't quite have enough stuff
to fill.
To fill, yeah. But and despite that, they want even more space. They're going to build an extension on the back of the Tate because they say that they haven't got enough room to put their collection up. Well, that's ridiculous. I mean, some of the rubbish that's up there now, it shouldn't even be on the wall, let alone have more space to put more rubbish up. And the reason that they haven't got enough good quality stuff is they didn't buy any when it was cheap. You've got to buy it when it's cheap. Because all that modern art stuff now, it's no one can afford it anymore, particularly hard-strapped galleries like the Tate.
What, so the gallery pays for the art to be displayed in it?
No, they have to buy it in the first place, or be given it.
All right, I thought...
Which is why the Tate doesn't have much, because at the key point when modern art was all being made, turn of the century, not this century, the last century, they weren't out there buying.
Okay.
And so they waited too late until it became too expensive, and so they couldn't afford it anymore.
I've worked out why it's the most popular attraction in the UK.
Why? What is?
Is it? Is that the answer to the Tate?
Oh no. But which of the two do you think is most popular?
Well, the Tate Modern.
Yeah. Britain's art fans are turning into convinced modernists, it says in this newspaper story, who prefer Picasso, Marcel Duchamp and Cy Twombly to Constable Gainsborough and J.M.W. Turner. In fact, we prefer sharks sitting in tanks of formaldehyde and some bird's unmade bed to an actual quality piece of art, don't we? Just because it gets more publicity.
The only reason people are voting for the Tate Modern as the best attraction is because it had slides there this year. That's it.
I never got to go on the slides. I was quite upset about that because there was a giant queue.
Yeah. Well,
in fact, I think the queue book was closed the day I went. It was so popular.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I think that's the reason it's been voted, because this year they've had the most visitors it's ever had.
Really? Because just people wanted to go on a slide.
Yeah.
Well, that's pathetic.
And so you can't say, oh yeah, all these people are interested in art. Rubbish. They just want to have a little go on a slide.
Right. There's heavy lifting equipment in the main turbine hall at the moment. I don't know what they're putting in there, but there's a lot of work going on.
Oh, really?
There's a lot of builders in hard hats wandering around and, yeah, all sorts of stuff. So that would be interesting, whatever they're going to stick in there next. I think the only thing that ever really, really worked was, it wasn't Zaha Hadid, was it? It was the big trumpet, the bright red, triple-edged, trumpet thing. Did you see that?
I don't think I've missed that.
Absolutely unbelievable. It was like a special effect from a Steven Spielberg film. It was though a spaceship had landed right in the middle of it. It was the most extraordinary thing I've ever seen in my life. You know how big the turbine hall is in the Tate? It completely filled it. It was massive. You missed a good one. You'll never see the like of that again. It was, it's the biggest single... Well, it was the biggest thing I've ever seen in my life. It was like, it was as big as standing right next to a jumbo jet. It was absolutely colossal.
What, and they call that art?
It was art.
Oh.
But it was computer art. One of these things that you could, with a computer program, you could actually design in about 3 minutes yourself. In much the same way as you could design any of these wobbly buildings they're putting up now.
Yeah.
Because they've got the computer program to do it. You know, a child of 6 could design any modern art building. It's all curves and swoops now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Anyway, Tate Modern receives more than 3 times as many visitors as the conventional cousin across the water, the Tate Britain. 5.2 million visits. I think it's the most popular modern art museum in the world, Tate Modern.
Slides.
Because of the slides, yeah. Tate Modern is the country's second most popular visitor attraction after...
Thorpe Park?
No.
Oh. That's got slides there. Let me think.
Britain's most popular visitor attraction. Any idea?
Buckingham Palace.
Buckingham Palace?
Yeah? What's wrong with that?
No. Have you been to Buckingham Palace?
Yeah, I have, actually. And it was, most enjoyable.
Yeah, I quite liked it too. No surface is unembellished. In fact, even the decorations seem to be decorated. There's no part of a wall, floor, ceiling, or anything that's not got fiddled about with.
Funny smell, though.
What, like cabbage?
Yeah.
What do you mean, funny smell?
Well, it's like, it's just 'cause it's old, isn't it, really? It's just really old-fashioned. Very, very grand, but old-fashioned.
Lovely carpets.
Yeah.
And the Queen's throne is rubbish. Have you seen the Queen's throne? Here, we better go in order to come back. I'll come back in a minute.
LBC 97.3.
0870 90 90 973.
Nick Abbott.
That's the number for Anthony Davis, who's after the new news.
Come on, we're running late.
We are indeed running late, but I did like Buckingham Palace. But the throne that she sits in to receive visitors or whatever it is that she does.
Yeah.
I thought looked well. It's threadbare for a start. It doesn't look like it's been it's had a new cover on it for 100 years.
It looks like she's used it like every single day.
It does. Yeah, that's right. It's it needs a revamp.
Yeah. But
But it is entertaining to wander around.
Because
I quite liked it.
you get one of those little audio sets as well. It tells you everything about it, so you're not missing anything. But
Hello. It says.
Well, she didn't record it. Wouldn't that be good though? If
I'm
she did?
the Queen. Yeah. So go to Buckingham Palace. It's a delight. And Brenda might be there to welcome you in person with a cup of tea in her hand and a nice biscuit.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, lovely biscuits. But no, the most popular visitor attraction in Britain is... Any ideas?
Nope.
Blackpool Pleasure Beach.
Oh, God.
Isn't that shocking? Hey, Anthony's next.
On 97.